Growing up, we had our fight. It wasn't always easy. Growing up, we had our fights, though we wouldn't say it. We wanted to play nice. I can safely say we're friends, and that I love you too. But years ago that wouldn't happen, because I didn't get you. Oh, it's complicated, and I need to say it, 'cause time is fading away. I should have said it sooner. Who knows what's in the future? But now I need you to know that I love you. You know it's true. You don't need to say it back to me, because I know you do. And I get it now. You weren't allowed the same life that you so gracefully endowed. I'm happy with it all now. We both had to grow and learn to understand each other. And with patience we took turns. I'm sorry for my anger. I was just too young to know the cause of your exterior, and just what you wouldn't show. Oh, it's complicated, and I need to say it, 'cause time is fading away. I should have said it sooner. Who knows what's in the future? But now I need you to know that I love you. You know it's true. You don't need to say it back to me, because I know you do. And I get it now. You weren't allowed the same life that you so gracefully endowed. Oh, I love you. You love me too. Unspoken words are preferred, but it's the truth. I'll shift the tide, leave windows wide. We are the start, our change of heart will be our guide. Oh, I love you. You know it's true. You don't need to say it back to me, because I know you do. I do. I know you do.
れて浮かれて叶えてやがて僕は消えたくなるだろう何回も案内してっていうのはちゃんと叱ってほしいからもういっそ僕と変わってみませんか別に変わらなくていいんだよ嫉妬しなくていいんだよもう一個届かない夢までねえ何回目それで何回目何回目悪くないだろうねああそうだよねほんとそうだよね知ってるよちゃんと知ってるよもうそうならばそれがそうならば後悔をないにしてもいいああ一緒にいくつだもないさ聞いてくれ僕を聞いてくれそうだ
Good evening, ladies and squirrels.
And I
No, hold on.
think you're from another world, and I couldn't
Alexa, stop. It's not Alexa. Oh no, it left my freaking playlist. Hold up. Intoxicated. Let me add you back to the list, my boy. Didn't mean to yeet you off a cliff. Where's chat? Literally, where is chat? OBS says you're here. I don't know where you are. Momento de bra. Let's do this. Bam. Are you sure you want to remove chat? Yes. Then add window capture. Add existing chat. Bam. Well, would you look at that? Lord Adam says hi. XX suitable salt X7117 says momento de bra. Martino is awesome says hi. Radix hello. And then Salt says hello. Alright, today I thought we were going to discuss some Transformers lore stuff since I want to be getting back into streaming. Let me know if the mic cuts out. But I haven't done a stream devoted to Transformers lore stuff yet. In fact, I don't know if I've ever done a stream for Transformers lore stuff. I've mostly done chill streams and games, so I don't know how to do a Transformers lore stream. How much can you see back there? That's good. That's fine. If I knew how to adjust this like this way, but my monitor's kind of shaped towards here. Now my monitor's shaped at a weird angle, and you can still see the stuff in the back. But I figured we'd just talk about Transformers lore, and I don't really have a subject, so I was banking on chat providing some questions or subjects for me to talk about, for us to talk about as a discussion, so we can do that. That light's way too bright. And if I put the curtain on it, it's going to be way too dark. Nah, that will have to do. Has anyone seen Rise of Skywalker? You know what? Typically when I do live streams, I get a lot of Transformer questions. I do a Transformers stream and I just got a Star Wars question. Alright. I just came out of the shower. That's odd. Okay, so we're discussing Rise of Skywalker. Great. That's not... You know, my streams never go to plan. Even right out the gate, they fail. Ordered some donuts. Because there are no donuts in my town. That sounds like a joke. It isn't. Order these off Amazon. I have to go to Amazon for my donuts. Alright, chat. We need your participation here. Ah, okay. What is the D-Void? That's a good question. The D-Void... Alright. Let's do the breakdown on the D-Void. Back. When I was a little girl in France. Okay, anyone who's seen the Gamer Poop Skyrim videos will get that. Where do we start? We start with the Regenesis Project. Like a lot of stuff in IDW starts with the Regenesis Project. I assume we know what the Regenesis Project is here. If you don't, the brief version is Shockwave realizes that Cybertron's going to run out of Energon. He creates these magical Energon things. I say magical, I don't think it's actually magic. I have to be careful with how I word things because magic is a thing. But these different types of Energon that have different effects. I'm not sure if they started out having the different effects or if they just happened to grow different effects after being in different planets for so long unattended. But he seeds the world with these Energons. And one of these... No, wait, we have to get to the dead universe being made. So during an event called Dark Cybertron, which is... I know I say, like, a lot of stuff people say is confusing isn't actually confusing when it comes to Transformers. Dark Cybertron is confusing. Like, I can forgive you for saying Dark Cybertron is confusing. But the point is, during Dark Cybertron, Shockwave's trying to wipe out the universe. He does so by using all of these ores, these Energons he's developed during the, from the Regenesis project. And he uses all those ores to reach back in time to a universe. He goes to a parallel universe. He reaches with to a parallel universe with all of his Energons and sucks out all of the energy from the universe. Removes all energy from that universe to give him enough power to destroy Primex, 1015 point something gamma, the IDW universe. So he sucks up all that Energon, or sucks up all the energy from that universe, creating what is called the dead universe. And he doesn't do that, like, at that moment. He doesn't just reach out into the multiverse and grabs the universe. He reaches back in time to the beginning of this universe and takes all the energy. So it's always been dead. And that creates the dead universe. A universe with no energy. You go in it, you're going to be stuck in it, you're going to die. Eventually, the dead universe gets its own sentience. Like, it develops its own mind as a universe. And it becomes obsessed with something called expansion. It becomes obsessed with draining the different universes. It wants to absorb other universes into it and take all of its energy, since it has a bit of an energy shortage right now. So it wants to absorb other universes' energies and turn them into dead universes. Why did a universe suddenly gain sentience? Your guess is as good as mine. But the Devoid was the name of this sentience, and that is the Devoid, the sentient mind behind the dead universe after Shockwave killed a universe. Were there any... Ralph Hot Wheels asks, were there any characters aside from Sideways who crossed the universe? Lots of characters. A lot of characters. Opinion on Rise of Skywalker? Haven't seen it. The nearest movie theater is about 2 hours away and can only be accessed through very inconvenient means of transportation. Or 13, or 1D God. Not complete sentences. Or 69. I see we have a jokester here. Is Dark Energon involved? Dark Energon has nothing to do with the Devoid. No. Yo, says Robert Lawson, like the convenience store. Yo. Has there ever been crossovers between the universes? That's the entire story of Transformers, crossovers between the universes. Terranar versus Transformers. Don't know what a Terranar is. Another donut. Again, had to order from Amazon. We don't sell donuts in my town. You think we have a movie theater to watch Rise of Skywalker? Alright, what else we got? Now that I've talked about the Devoid, I'm very confused how a universe spontaneously gained a sentience. Stupid question, but if the 13 primes do not have T-Cogs, in some continuities, how exactly can Onyx Prime be the first beast former when he lacks a beast mode because he lacks a T-Cog? Pre-Shroud Onyx Prime did have a transformation cog, post-Shroud Onyx Prime can do whatever he wants. There's no real lore post-Shroud. But pre-Shroud 13 did have transformation cogs. Is Jinrai Optimus Prime? Good question. And I've been thinking a lot about Jinrai lately, and we'll talk about that later, but Jinrai... Well, first of all, the name Jinrai comes from a human. At least if we're talking about the Japanese cartoon continuity in which he first appeared, I believe. Jinrai is a human named Jinrai who gets into possession of a transtector. A transtector is essentially a transformer body that can be interfaced with by an outside force, typically like a human or a nebulan. But he finds this transtector that's exactly Optimus Prime. Why? Because at some point during the Autobot-Decepticon War, the Autobots are like, Optimus Prime kind of throws himself into bad situations without thinking. He is going to die. So we need to make a backup body for him. If he dies, maybe we can save him, or save his spark, save his brain, whatever, and put it into this Optimus Prime clone transtector, and thereby bring Optimus Prime back. This happens sometime after the return of Optimus Prime. So, he's already died before at this point. He's already died in Transformers the movie. And then he came back in the return of Optimus Prime, and now they're like, we need to be prepared next time that happens. So, they make a transtector for Optimus Prime. I don't remember the details. It obviously didn't get used as an Optimus Prime body, because I think it got lost, and Jinrai found it. Jinrai interfaced with it, and Jinrai eventually became the owner of the Optimus Prime transtector, and so he called himself Jinrai. Now, at the end of Master Force, the transtectors, after spending so much time with the humans interface with them, eventually develop their own sentience. Here we go with the common theme of sentience popping out of nowhere. But the transtectors eventually get their own sentience based off of the humans who controlled them, and Jinrai is a proper... Well, maybe not proper isn't maybe not the right word, but Jinrai is a transformer. He is a Cybertronian. He exists. He is his own person, separate from the human Jinrai. Although essentially they have the same brains, same personalities and stuff. But Jinrai becomes his own person, and that's Jinrai. The reason I've been thinking of Jinrai so much is because I'm sure we all know that I'm not a fan of how the IDW universe ended. And I've been thinking, if I were to make a fanfic continuation of the IDW universe, how would I go about it, especially when there's so many plot threads? There are so many small plot threads that haven't been followed up on, but the main plot threads have been wrapped up, and a lot of characters have been killed off, so that it's really hard to move on past the end of the IDW universe, because of just all the characters are war-weary, so you can't really bring it back to the war, but they've already told pretty much every story that can be told in a post-war Cybertron. But there are still some plot threads left hanging. And it's how would I do that? You'd have to introduce a whole new plot element to the IDW universe to make it continue going. And I thought, what's the one major character from the Japanese cartoons that hasn't been brought into the IDW universe? And I'm thinking Jinrai hasn't been. But, you can't just bring in Jinrai because there's Optimus Prime. In order for Jinrai to come into a universe, Optimus Prime has to have died or something. Optimus Prime is dead. So if I wanted to make a fanfic to continue the IDW universe, I would easily make the introduction of Jinrai the key main point at the beginning. I'm head out. Well, that was quick. Jinrai is a human. I was confused too. Have the new GoBot comics come out yet, and do you plan to read them? They have come out. I don't plan on reading them. Maybe I will. I don't know. GoBots was canon to the Transformers stuff back before the Shroud, and now that the Shrouds happened, GoBots is really new GoBots material, especially the GoBots comic, which is completely separated from any previous GoBots continuity, isn't really part of the Transformers multiverse. So I'm not really inspired to read any of them. Was there a universe where the Decepticons won? Yes. Can't think of any off the top of my head, though. Not any major universes. But the universe the Nemesis Prime dude comes from, Nemesis Prime from the RX cluster, the Nemesis Prime that was the subject of my broken Nemesis Prime documentary video. That Optimus Prime came from a universe where I believe the Decepticons won. Where Megazarek won a little bit, but was Megazarek a Decepticon in that continuity? I can't remember. And then Unicron ate it soon after, so it doesn't really matter. Unicron ate that whole reality. But I'm sure there are where they've won. With the Dark Energon from War of Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron is more like Or-13. Dark Energon is nothing like Or-13. Dark Energon is the blood of Unicron and has some after effects. Or-13 is just Energon on steroids. Did you finish Robots in Disguise Aligned? I think I've watched all except for the part once the Combiner stuff got thrown in. I think I watched a little bit of that. Was it a season or was it like a little, like, almost like an OVA edition where the combining stuff happened? I watched a little bit of that, but didn't finish that. So I guess I didn't finish it, but I watched most of it. And frankly, the plot was moving so slowly, I doubt... Here's my problem with Transformers series these days. And exclude Cyberverse from this, because Cyberverse I haven't finished. But this especially applies to Robots in Disguise. If you take the status quo in episode 1 and the status quo in the last episode, there isn't much of a difference. Like, there's not much of a story that actually happens that's meaningful. Episode 1, they're stranded in this garbage junkyard. Towards the end, at least, they're still in that same junkyard. I'm used to things changing in a story. I'm used to, like, G1, where first season they crash the Ark and wake up in 1984. Last season, it's like 2007 or 2006. Whenever the Rebirth arc happened, I think it's 2006. Or 7, I can't remember. And everything's all futuristic, and you have headmasters, and like the status quo has considerably changed. Beast Wars. Everyone's fighting on prehistoric Earth, and they're beast forms by the end. There's trans techs, and there's a time storm. Things have changed quite considerably. The Axelon has been completely cannibalized and put into Mount St. Helens. There's been a changed status quo. Beast Machines isn't a good example, but I guess the status quo does change throughout that series. Robots in Disguise isn't really the best example either, the first Robots in Disguise. But Armada starts out with fighting for minicons, ends with a huge, like, one of the best Unicron battles in all of the Transformers mythos. Energon starts off with these systems of cities, ends with, the sun about to destroy the universe or whatever. Energon changes quite frequently. Cybertron has a change of status quo. Animated kinda has a change of status quo. You feel things change. But with Robots in Disguise 2015, you can watch episode 1, then watch one of the later episodes, and you really haven't missed much. And that's what I really didn't like about Robots in Disguise. The whole point of my review of Season 1 was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I hope it goes somewhere. This was fun as a Season 1. Season 2, Season 3 better change up the status quo. It better make this story worthwhile. So I've been thinking of making a video titled, let's make a Transformers cartoon series, where I just, plot out, if I was in charge, how I would make a Transformers cartoon series. Say we have 52 episodes, what would happen from episode 1 to 52, and how things would change. I've been thinking of doing a video like that. How is GoBot in Transformers? It's part of the Guardian cluster. Where do you think the Bayverse will go now? The Bayverse ended. Bayverse has ended. It's not going anywhere. Rhythms of Darkness is an issue from the Marvel comic about an alternate universe with a Decepticon victory. Yes, it is. I also believe Unicron ate that one, too. At the end of the day. I'm not sure. Either Unicron or the Hytherian or something happened to that reality. It didn't last. Have you all watched Mobile Suit Gundam? Yes, I have. I've done a video on Gundam 00. So the Fallen and the Evil One is no longer in the same universe singularity. No, they are. It's just that any evil one that pops up after the Shroud, so anything that pops up after October of 2015, is no longer the Fallen, and no longer the singularity. Assuming that the GoBots fiction you're reading is not connected to any pre-Shroud GoBots universe. They made the Shroud to make things more simple. It really didn't. If you see the Evil One in a piece of GoBots fiction that has been released after October of 2015, and that piece of GoBots fiction is not connected to any GoBots fiction in the continuity set before October of 2015, then it is not part of the multiversal singularity. It's its own thing that has no real connection to the lore of Transformers. Whew, don't you just love the Shroud, guys? Not much has changed in the last episodes either, I'd imagine. How does Pretender technology work in IDW? Good question. Pretender technology is a little bit more intricate in IDW. It starts off... The dude who invents Pretender technology is a dude called Thunderclash. In the 1500s, Thunderclash is like... Cybertron is undergoing a lot of warfare. It's not going to be safe to live in. There's going to be radiation. Also, I've created this Pretender process with synthetic material that will not only protect us from any future radiation, but also make us super powerful. And Megatron looks at it as like, okay, have you figured out a way to stop the synthetic material from just corrupting our brain modules and making us insane? And Thunderclash is like, no, but it can still work, trust me. And Megatron's like, no, get out of my face. Megatron's like, that's a terrible idea. You'll just turn us into monsters. Get out of here. Thunderclash says, how about I do it anyway? And does the Pretender process on himself, becomes a almost unstoppable monster that turns Cybertron into a dead world after the Battle of Thunderhead Pass. Pretender technology is kind of left underground on the abandoned planet Cybertron for like 1500. It's not until like 2008 when 2008 or 2006 when it's rediscovered. No, it was rediscovered in the 80s because of Spotlight Soundwave. Bludgeon eventually discovers Thunderwing's base, learns about the Pretender technology, and does it. He begins the Pretender process again. He puts on the Pretender technology and then becomes brain dead. So that didn't really work out. In Revelation, when the Dead Universe was invading to absorb it, they realized that the safest way to go into the Dead Universe is with Pretender technology. So the Autobots confiscate the material inside Thunderwing's base in his lab, and they reverse engineer it and perfect the Pretender process. And they put like Landmine and I think Cloud Raker and those guys into the Pretender process, and then they go into the Dead Universe to activate a Nega Core. It's all part of Revelations. But during the Revolution event, the Pretender process is fixed. A little bit of the Pretender process is put on to Cup after he goes through his rampage on Sishi. They realize the only way to protect Cup from the radiation is to put him in this Pretender. He doesn't look... Something with IDW is that you can be a Pretender without looking like a Pretender whatsoever. Pretender is sort of like just a process applied to you. Some of you can look like Pretenders. Some of you, like Cup, who's technically a Pretender, doesn't look like a Pretender whatsoever. Bludgeon eventually recovers, and I think he's still technically a Pretender as the series goes on. Yeah, he still has a lot of synthetic stuff on him, but he gets his mind back at some point. Didn't like how the so-called Decepticons and robots in disguise were treated either. Yeah, that was lame. What universes are in Transformers universe? What? I don't understand the question. Have ever watched Transformers Cyberverse? I watched season 1. There's a review of that on my channel. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is like the pilot of Transformers Beast Machines. Well, that's not good. Thunderwing created Pretenders, not Thunderclash. I figured that I accidentally misspoke. It's Thunderwing. Are GoBots part of Transformers? We've answered that. So, the evil one in Challenge of the GoBots was the Fallen/Megatronus? Yes. Will you ever do a video about the Transtech universe? Because I'm kind of confused by it. Have I not done a video on it yet? I know I haven't done a dedicated video on it, but I know I definitely mentioned it. I might do a dedicated video on it, although there's really not much to it. It's a universe where the war stopped, and then they became super advanced with technology to observe the multiverse. And then they put in some weird draconian laws in place that some make sense, like no Megatrons and no Optimus Primes are allowed in the Axiom Nexus, but other laws are kind of a bit more oppressive. Does Soundwave and Blaster have a force field in their chest area to protect the cassettes inside of him? I don't think that's ever been said before, no. I think if you shoot one of them in the chest, that laser just went through all those cassettes. So if you want a high body count. Funny enough, the Fallen in Robots in Disguise called himself the first Decepticon, while Megatron was the one who started the Aligned Decepticons. Well, the Fallen is the first Decepticon. Even in the Aligned continuity, the Fallen's still the multiversal singular Fallen. He still is part of the history of the dudes who made the Decepticons. The earliest Decepticons in the lore of Transformers were the Constructicons and Seekers assembled by the Fallen when he was building the Star Harvester in the Tyran cluster. So he is the first Decepticon, even when he's in a universe where he isn't. He still was a Decepticon before those Decepticons happened. You said in one video with the new IDW universe that you don't like Pyromagna, if I recall correctly. Why do you not like her? Because she's terrible. Like, all she does is complain. It's part of an era of the IDW comics where the writers are very inconsistent with their themes and turn their backs on what the IDW universe was. Pyromagna really was just a jerk to Optimus Prime, who, despite how he's written in the Optimus Prime book, still remains the hero of the IDW universe. And she plays out more like a useless antagonist than a character we're supposed to like. Hey, how are you doing? Fine. Do we know anything about what Liege Maxima wanted to do in Marvel G2? Yes, Transformers Alignment talks about what he's doing. He's sort of expanding the hub. Transformers Alignment's interesting because I believe it's one of the only fan fictions that has been made canon. But it's written by Simon Furman, so of course. But Transformers Alignment is the story you want to look at to get more about Liege Maximo, which is canon. Did the Transformers made the pyramids? No. I don't think so, no. The only time I can really think of the pyramids playing a role in Cybertronian stuff is Revenge of the Fallen, in which case I think it's implied that humans built the pyramids over the Star Harvester, which was built by the Cybertronians, but not the pyramid itself. What are your thoughts on Straxus? I think he's a good villain to just use in as a mustache-twirling villain in the place of Megatron. A new Calamus Mythos audiobook's going to come out soon, and that's sort of, you get a little look at what Calamus Mythos Straxus is like. What other universes like GoBots are in the Transformers universes? It's obviously not all Transformers is part of the Transformers multiverse, excluding the post-Shroud original stuff. But GoBots, there are universes that are connected to it, like certain GoBots continuities, certain G.I. Joe continuities, certain Gem and the Hologram stuff, ROM, the Space Knight, Micronauts. That's why all my Transformer lore videos, were titled Transformers Lore, but in the video itself it said Hasbro Takara Multiverse. Because I'm really talking about the Hasbro Takara Tomy multiverse lore. It's just, nobody's Googling Hasbro Takara Tomy multiverse lore. Nobody's going to click on a video titled Hasbro Takara Tomy multiverse lore. That's the only reason why Transformers lore is called Transformers lore. But Micronauts, Gem of the Holograms, and Humanoids, COPS, like the acronym COPS, that was like a cartoon in like the late 80s, early 90s. Or late 90s, I think, at some point in that time zone. Beast Wars. Yeah. Star Wars and a little bit in the Star Wars Transformers universe that I made a video on. Many Decepticons and Robots in Disguise didn't seem like they were called Decepticons only because they were bad guys instead of actual Decepticon movement. They were Decepticons. Okay, I look into the alignment. Thanks. Yes, it's for free. Because it was made it was a fan fiction to begin with. That was made canon. It's only like 70-ish pages and it's big font. It's not long. It doesn't take long to read at all. But alignment. I think you can go. Can you go to the Transformers Wiki page and do they link the source down below? TF Wiki. And TF Wiki says alignment isn't canon, but that's not true. You go to alignment. Yes, okay. So you can find a copy of alignment for free on the Transformers Wiki on the alignment page. Let's look at this. This page? Alignment. This is Apocrypha, which sort of means pseudo-canon. Fiction that is considered pseudo-canon generally falls into one of two categories. It's most likely either unofficial fiction from an official creator that is so informative as to the creator's thought process or is influential to the fan to be worth documenting, or fiction that is published in such a way that render it unofficial, such as fan works published, blah, blah, blah. As such, new ideas and concepts introduced here may not hold true for work that is completely canonical, but this was made canon. Ask Vector Prime made it canon. And they go into the details here that Jim Sorensen and Bill Forrester and this happened through the Ask Vector Prime segment of that book, said that alignment was an accurate future of the Marvel Comics continuity. But then the writer of the book added the Apocrypha template to this page, saying that alignment is not necessarily official. Then Ask Vector Prime said it definitely it happened. So it's this weird situation where everything that happens in alignment is canon, but I think for legal reasons you can't say Transformers alignment is canon. Like, you can't say alignment is canon, but everything that happens in it, word for word, is canon. So, like, it's this semantic argument as to whether or not it's canon. Transformers alignment is canon. We can end the discussion that it's canon. Transformers Wiki gets weird with how it talks about things sometimes. If the transformation cog is part of Rossum's Trinity, how exactly do monoformers exist without being dead? That's a very good question. That's James Roberts not knowing what he's talking about. There are people who have there are monoformers that have the transformation cog removed and are living just fine. Never explained, and yet both concepts are kind of brought by James Roberts. Now, there were Action Masters who didn't transform, but that's not necessarily a same universe where the Rossum's Trinity is in effect. The Transformers cog is very much a, are you sure that shooting a transformation cog kills you type situation. Is there any sort of universe where Optimus never became a Prime? Probably. I can't think of any right now, though. Goodbye, Lord Adam says very abruptly. What's your favorite universe? I don't have a favorite universe. Maybe the Japanese Generation 1 continuity. It used to be the IDW Hasbro universe, but then the ending, like the last 2 years of the Hasbro universe, I did not like. I was asking it was a fan theory that crooks were branded as Decepticons and robots in disguise at the events in Prime Law. Well, they're Decepticons. You know, fan theories are fun and all, but not real. Let me bring up another thing that the Transformers Wiki does weird. This movie timeline thing. It's, for the most part, correct, except it has Bumblebee in it. The events of Transformers Bumblebee takes place in it. I think they might also include the Bumblebee prequel. What happened in the 60s? I don't see the Bumblebee prequel anywhere, but they do include the Bumblebee movie on here. As we all know, the Bumblebee movie is not canon to the Michael Bay universe. So here's the discussion going on here. It has been suggested to split the movie timeline and the IDW movie timeline. Reason? Remove everything except the actual movies themselves from this page, move all the IDW Movieverse info to its own page. While anything else isn't really on the timeline, they can be moved to the IDW timeline because they're secondary canon to the film series. What a weird way to discuss this. The answer is very simple. You have the movie timeline, and, you know, you can figure out a better name for that later, and then you have the Bumblebee movie timeline, because Bumblebee isn't canon. Also, the Bumblebee movie prequel isn't canon to anything but itself. So don't include the Bumblebee movie prequel comic. But there's the main Michael Bay verse, and then there's the Night verse, or whatever. The IDW stuff and novels and stuff is canon. It would be stupid to split it into something and call it the IDW movie timeline when a lot of this includes stuff not made from IDW. And the discussion on it is talking about where to draw the line as to cut it off. Some people suggest cutting off The Last Night. Some people suggest cutting off Age of Extinction. You don't have to be that complicated. Last Night and Age of Extinction fit just fine in the timeline. It's a little bit weird, but it does fit. And Transformers is no stranger to things being a little bit weird, but fitting. All you have to do is take the Bumblebee stuff out, and then this is a complete article. And what the actual canon reflects. As long as they didn't include the Schick Hydrabot comic. The Schick Hydrabot can't fit in this. But, yeah, Last Night, Age of Extinction are canon to the Bayverse. Bumblebee is not. The IDW comics, the novelizations, the Cyber Missions cartoon, all that is canon to the Bayverse. But we've entered a new canon. The Transformers wiki annoys me a lot. Especially when so many people look at it as the authority on Transformers canon. I don't think Orion became Optimus in the Functionist universe, I guess. I think we barely hear about Orion in the Functionist universe. Unpopular opinion, I like most of the Bayverse designs in Transformers 1 through 3. That's fair. What do you think of Mega Empress and her team? I think she's pretty cool. A better use of those molds than the Victorion team. I feel Bayverse designs are great with 1 through 3 too. I think they're great all around. I like the designs in all the movies. Have you ever watched Endgame? And what do you think it's logical? And do you think it's logical? I made two videos on Endgame. The wiki lump things together despite them not being connected. Yeah, the wiki is designed to be for a casual audience, which is fine. I understand the purpose of that. But here's the thing. Let's compare the Transformers wiki to Wikipedia, which goes in depth. It's meant for a more deep lore fan base. Both of them have their roles. Wikipedia's for the deep lore, Transformers wiki is for casual fans. I wanted to make a deep lore Transformers wiki, and that was called the Oracle. So I started doing that, and then come to find out that the mods from Transformers wiki were sort of bashing my wiki. You know, Chris McFeely and them were just like, look at this piece of trash. So I just kind of stopped that, and that was sort of the moment where I realized the Transformers fandom isn't worth servicing. When you have people like that who are so successful and so enjoyed by people, who just won't let people like things the way they like. There should be a comic series to conclude the Bayverse? That would be interesting to see, yeah. Yeah, the Bayverse has ended. What's stopping someone from writing a fanfic that wraps it all up? And they've let off the cliffhanger's Unicron. Unicron is the perfect way to end a universe. There's some potential there. I doubt they'll actually make something that wraps it up. But, yeah. If a fanfic continuation would be nice to see. A well-written one, I should say. Do you think you might do a G1 Cartoon Continuities timeline video? I'm preparing on doing one for the Japanese timeline. How do you kill a Transformers? Killing them. Incinerate them. Shoot their brains. Shoot their spark. Crush their spark. Rip out their spark. In a non-surgical manner, because the spark can be removed. Wipe them out of existence through a time storm. Throw them into an incinerator, although Blur survived that. What exactly do you not like about IDW 1.0 Phase 2? How the last 2 years focuses more on the politics of the writers while disregarding the continuity. For example, the wiki refuses to split Prime Hotshot and Rescue Bot's Hotshot. Well, I think those are the same characters. Hotshot. Those are probably the same characters regardless. Prime continuity. Hotshot was in a battle. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same Hotshot. There's not any information that contradicts the two being the same. Although, looking at this, the timeline would have him go from being a wrecker to a rescue bot. His first chronological appearance has him being a wrecker. And then Rescue Bots Academy, which is the most recent installation in the timeline, is him as a rescue bot. That's weird. You don't invite a wrecker to train to become a rescue bot. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I would have separated those maybe. What exactly are the Transformers made up of? I heard that there are silicon-based life forms, but not every continuity. They're made up of living metal. And there's a Transformers lore video on that. They're made up of living metal for most of their body parts, and the spark, I think, is separate from that. But the brain module and all that is made out of living metal. There's also CNA, cybernucleic acid, which is sort of their DNA that's sort of interwoven within the living metal. Yeah, that's about it. There's a video on living metal on my channel. How to kill a Transformer? Grind Perceptor inside of a built-in blender robot. Yeah. Does the Rust Plague automatically spread through every metal? Maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head if it affects anything beyond Transformers metal. Honestly, Hasbro has problems with making multiple characters with the same name in that same universal cluster aligned gremlin. There's nothing wrong with having the same name for the same cluster. IDW addresses that point blank. Like, obviously, there's a limit to how many names you can have for an entire race. There are 2 Prowls in the IDW universe, and one of them was a lot less famous. There's no problem with having characters with the same name. What part of a Transformer's body can't repair, not be replaced? The spark and the brain. Although the brain might be able to be repaired depending on how badly it's damaged. The spark, too, but the spark's more of a light than anything. The Rescue Bot Hot seems to be too young to be Prime Hotshot as well. The youth thing, the age thing sometimes changes. Pretty much every character who shows up in Rescue Bots feels like they're younger than they should be, even Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. I think the only real pointer is the going from Record to Rescue Bot. Is there a universe of zombie-like plagues in a universe that isn't Prime Terracons? There was the infestation that infected a lot of sweeps in the IDW universe, and they got banished. Are there any more infested sweeps? I think the infested sweeps are gone. I think they got kicked out with all the other zombies to wherever the zombies got... No, the infested sweeps got sent to the Dead universe. And the Dead universe collapsed. Yeah. I also think there were some zombies in the Marvel UK stuff. Zombie Transformers. I'm not sure what happened to them. Which cluster is Cyberverse in? Cyberverse isn't in a cluster. Cyberverse is post-Shroud, meaning it's not part of Transformers lore. Meaning it's not put into a cluster, because it doesn't exist in the greater lore where clusters exist. So Cyberverse isn't part of a cluster. Pre-Shroud and post-Shroud is a lot like Legends and canon with Star Wars. Legends is pre-Shroud, where everything's connected and there's a lore for it. Even Star Wars canon, post-Legends canon is a better job at doing lore than post-Shroud Transformers. Cyberverse is Cyberverse, it's not a cluster. Do you think in Bayverse the Dinobots have a history with Shockwave? I don't think so, no. Because the Dinobots left Cybertron long before the war broke out. The Dinobots in the movie universe are like ancient people that Shockwave really wouldn't have an opportunity to interact with. How does spark extraction work in East Universe? We don't see it happen, but it seems to just be a surgical process where you remove the spark without killing the dude. Do you think Transformers have genders? Depends on how you define gender. Pre-Shroud, yes. And gender is defined by the way the brain cog works. Not the brain cog, the brain module. They described it as... Because Solus Prime was the progenitor of all female Transformers, and she had the Forge of Solus Prime, and she could create these weapons by having a different brain module that allowed her to think differently, to like picture these weapons and create these intricate designs, and all her descendants have that feature. So gender is defined by how the brain module works pre-shroud. Post-shroud is whatever, make up your own. There's no lore. Is Boomer a boomer? Is there a character named Boomer? Boomer. Ah, what an obscure character to bring up. Is Boomer a boomer? When was his first appearance? Yesterday's Heroes, 1989. Ah, his first appearance sets him a little bit too late to become a boomer. What is your favorite combiners? I love Bruticus. That's about it, to be honest. Bruticus. Okay, so what is a transformer? A transformer is a robot that can... I was about to say a robot that can change form. But are Action Masters Transformers? They might be. Unicron is a Transformer, but Unicron is not a Cybertronian. If the ability to transform defines a I guess there are no naturally born Action Masters and no naturally born Monoformers. So there's still Transformers that have been modified so that they don't transform. So I guess a Transformer is a being that can change shape from one mode to another. A sentient being that can change shape from one to another. They don't necessarily have to be born on Cybertron. They don't necessarily have to have ties to Cybertron. But I guess the Covenant aren't Transformers because I don't think they could transform. I know Scorpius could, or whatever his name was, but he was also a double agent who wasn't really a part of the Covenant. Who/what is Mogon the Mass? Mogon the Mass is a bad dude. That's really all we know about him. We know he was a threat that he was faced the Marvel Universe sometime between Generation 2 and Alignment. Mogon the Mass. I think he also was the reason the Big Bang happened. Yes, Ask Vector Prime gave more information about him. Mogon the Mask absorbed star systems. Vector Prime used Rizzling his sword to smite him so hard that his remains went back in time and detonated the Big Bang. Now the question is, which Big Bang? Like, was it because there are multiple Big Bangs in Transformers. The Big Bang that started the multiverse, and then other Big Bangs that happened starting other individual universes within the multiverse. I'm assuming Mogon the Mask blowing up started the Big Bang for that universe. Or Vector Prime could have started the entire multiverse by sending Mogon the Mask back in time and exploding. Who knows? What is your opinion on Optimus Prime being the 13th Prime? Personally, I dislike it and would rather have it be Logos Prime or Autonomous Maximus, but that's just me. I don't have an opinion on it because nobody did anything with it. They sort of said, he's the 13th Prime. Okay, you gonna do anything with that? No. So I don't know how I feel about it because I've never done anything with it. Fall of Cybertron Dinobots have a history with Shockwave, yes, but we were talking about the movie Dinobots. There are a lot of universes Dinobots who have a history with Shockwave. Transformers are real. Where is consciousness in a Transformer? What do you think of Dreamwave G1? Personally, I think it's underrated. I think it's a good. If you asked me that question while it was happening, I would say it looks like they're getting their feet on the ground and trying to re-understand what Transformers is, because that was a time period when the Unicron trilogy was coming out. And Transformers, ultimately, when you go into Transformers' roots, you're going back to the Marvel comic. Because that was the first series. I think it came out a full half a year before the cartoon. I believe the comic was in April and the cartoon was in September. April, May, June, July, August, September. Around 5 months. Marvel. I believe the comic came out in April. Am I right or am I right? Issue 1. Oh, it came out in May. May, June, July, August, September. Okay. So around 5 months. And the cartoon came out September 19th, I think. So a full 5 months the comics predated the cartoon. The comics really explore more concepts than the cartoon did. Transformers is first and foremost a toy franchise, but when it comes to the fiction, it's a comic series before it's really a cartoon series. And Dreamwave was them really getting back to their roots and re-understanding what Transformers is. So does that make oh Jesus. So does that make IDW Unicron not a Transformer because he himself isn't sentient? Yes. Yeah, Unicron in IDW is just a weapon. He's not like an actual person. He's not like a being. I consider everything with a spark to be a Transformer. Well, Unicron has a dark spark, I guess. In real life, did Revenge of the Fallen introduce the idea of... Well, wait, GoBots are Transformers, and they don't have a spark. In real life, did Revenge of the Fallen introduce the idea of multiple ancient primes? No. The 13 came about in, like, the early 2000s, and it was building off of concepts that appeared in the 80s comic and cartoon. In real life, did... Oh, I just read that. Sick tapestry, dude. Thank you. It was given to my Twisted Ambition. YouTube.com/Twisted Ambition. Where is consciousness in... Are you saying where? Are you trying to say where? I would have to be... It has to be shared between the spark and the brain module, I guess. Although... Yeah, spark and brain module. Personality is more in the brain module, though. Let me get some lo-fi in here. I really need to be working on videos. I only have 2 videos left in my backlog before I need more. If you want to see the videos that are backlogged but haven't been out to the public yet, consider supporting me on Patreon. Patreon.com/CommanderRadix, where you can get early access to videos as they're created and not as they're released. How exactly do Transformers become triple/six changers? Is that something they are born with, or can they just scan 2 modes and end up as a triple changer that way? They can just scan 2 modes and end up as a triple changer that way. Triple changers/six changers/whatever changers is a natural ability in a Cybertronian. That's why I don't really like the terms triple changers and six changers, because it kind of sticks them... People think that's like... They're like a very special type of Transformer. Any Transformer can be a triple changer or six changer. Sometimes they might need to learn or have that ability unlocked, and that's where you get things like so-and-so invented triple changing, which it's not really invented, he just unlocked it. I think Soundwave or Shockwave did it in Dreamwave, where they invented triple changers, but it's like, no, that's still during the... Dreamwave is during a heavily entrenched canon with the... it's heavily pre-Shroud, and by pre-Shroud I mean it's connected with other universes. So they really can't get away with saying that triple changing and six changing is just a thing that you can do. Maybe you need a little bit training or to unlock that ability, but it's something that's natural. Would Pepsi Convoy and Dispenser make an awesome duo? That's a fair question. My best guess to define a Transformer would be a being created with a transformation cog and a spark, but at the same time that doesn't cover IDW Kron and possibly Rack and Ruin. That covers Rack and Ruin. But IDW Unicron isn't a Transformer, so we don't need to worry about including him. What obscure Transformers character would you like to be more in series? Personally, I would like Lickety Split to be in more. I don't have any particular one, I would say. Will this be a video? No, this will probably be left open. Like, left publicly visible. This entire stream. And before TF Lord, Diogenes abuses that definition. Who's Diogenes? Diogenes doesn't pop up. I have no idea who Diogenes is. How are we looking? We have 16 viewers. That's more than I've ever got. For those of you chilling out on this stream, I sometimes do other streams that aren't just Transformers lore. Consider coming out. There is a video coming out soon. That's an edited version of one of the streams I've done. It's simply titled Racist Yoda. but you'll understand when you see it. Or you can support me on Patreon and see it right now on Early Access. What are your thoughts on BotCon's flare-up and Flame War? Are you talking about like from the early 2000s, flare-up and Flame War? I think they're characters. Don't think they've really done much besides Flame War has done a little bit. Flare Up was in Be in the City. What is Transformers clone working? What's clone working? Who's on Discord? Cody has posted a noose meme. Alright. That's cool. How exactly does Amalgamus Prime end up creating a planet full of Cybertronians in that race? That doesn't fit the theme of too many modes. How exactly does Amalgamus Prime end up creating a planet full of Cybertronians that race? What do you mean that race? This doesn't fit the theme of too many modes. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Diogenes was the philosopher that brought a skinned chicken to another philosopher. Okay, I thought you were talking about some Transformer stuff. I thought that was Socrates that did that. I could be wrong, though. This is a man bird. Greek. Philosophy. Diogenes. Okay, it is Diogenes. Can you explain that one BotCon Megatron where he never died? What BotCon Megatron where he never died? You're gonna have to be more specific. Is Optimus worthy enough to carry Mjolnir? No idea. I think he means Velocitron. Who means Velocitron? How does Transformers cloning work? You clone them. You take the CNA from the Cybertronian, then you clone them. Bada bing, bada boom. Just like human cloning, or any other cloning, I guess. Take the CNA or DNA and clone it. Diogenes was the best Greek philosopher ever, smartest homeless man ever. All right. You guys enjoying the daily uploads so far? We've been going strong for way too long. I feel like it's been a year. How many days have I actually been doing daily uploads? I know I have... Tomorrow's video is slated. Is the video after tomorrow ready? I don't think it is. Oh no. We started with... There's Flood. I believe Transformers number 12. When did Mandalorian come out? Published December 10th. Published December 14th. Okay, so it was... So it starts with the Outer Worlds. Then we had the Patreon. Then we had the Lazy Colas podcast, ranking every Star Wars movie. Death of Metafiction, Let People Like Boba Fett, Harsh Reality of World War One. We've only been doing daily uploads for 7 days. Oh boy. I feel like I'm gonna die. Surely it's more than that. I thought, well, I did make Mandalorian and the Transformers number 12 review while I was working on the daily videos, so that 7, 8, 9, that's about 9. And then we have 2 more already, 9, 10, 11. Okay. The original crackpot, he lived in one. What are your thoughts on the channel TFI Creations? I've never heard of TFI Creations. Let's find out. A 1, a 2, a 3. Well, I think I've seen that before. I don't know, it looks pretty dank. I think it looks pretty solid. Like the creativity. In fact, I'll just go ahead and shaboom. Does he have a Patreon? Doesn't look like he has a Patreon. Could benefit from a Patreon. Uriuni means Velocitron. Well, that's even weird because Amalgamus Prime never went to Velocitron. Is Sound Blaster a concept that's explored outside of Japanese Generation 1? Logos Prime became a Sound Blaster. I know, like, I think Sound Blaster appeared a little bit in Dreamway, like in the background or something. The 2015 one, aka the one that turns into a truck like Dark of the Moon. What? What was your last thing? Explain that one BotCon Megatron where he never died. Telling me how he looks doesn't help. Tell me the storyline. That's because it's Dark of the Moon Megatron that's been transported. Oh, are you talking about the Megatron that's in the Transtech universe? Yeah, he was just taken from another universe. Was he taken from the Was he taken from the universe, the Titan comics? I don't think he was. What universe? He's probably taken from some sort of game. Transtech. Yep, there's the one. He was taken out of... he was just taken out of the universe where he is from. He's not from a previously established universe. It's just a multiversal traveling Megatron. BotCon 2015 bio. TFU is a very good primary source. Let's see. Tech spec. My legacy will stand, whether it be on the foundation of duranium or on the exoskeletal remains of those who get in my way, is their best decision. Being in broken time stood at a near standstill except for the slowly approaching blade of battle axe wielded by Optimus Prime, swinging in for the final blow. So this is during the Battle of Chicago, during the final events of Dark of the Moon. Suddenly, as though time skipped a moment, Megatron's body shifted and appeared behind Optimus Prime. Not questioning his good fortune, Megatron seized his opportunity to destroy both Optimus Prime and Sentinel Prime. Megatron should be dead, but he is not. Staring out into the cosmos from his Iron Throne in New Kaon, Megatron knew that was the day that everything changed. But why had he not died? Megatron repaired himself bit by bit and returned to conquer Cybertron, but Megatron soon realized what Optimus had always known. It never ends. A new, even more powerful Autobot leader arose. A new war began. Was this just a cruel joke Time was playing on the powerful Megatron? Should he have in fact died that day on the battlefield? He asked himself in that very question as Rodimus Prime stood over him, about to land the final blow as he barely clung to the space bridge he was dangling from. Instead of facing his end as a warrior, he simply let go. Axiom Nexus was where he awoke. So he ended up in the Transtech universe. So it looks like Megatron's body shifted and appeared behind Optimus Prime. That's about all the explanation you're gonna get. Now, stuff like this is normal for Transformers. There's a number of explanations that could cause this, including stuff like the Unicron singularity just causing a glitch in reality. But yeah. Emerjon cloning by Starscream in Transformers Prime is in a sentence. Are you ever going to finish Beast Wars Uprising stuff? I really enjoy the tech stories. I'm planning on rereading them soon to catch up on that and do videos on that. In fact, if you look at the community tab on my channel, I just announced that I was recently starting to reread them. If Amalgamus Prime exists in IDW continuity, does that mean shifters exist in that universe as well? No. If a transformer can change his form into another transformer, because Amalgamous Prime has a completely different history in IDW. If a transformer can change his form into another transformer and can change into the other transformer's vehicle mode, does it count as being an infinite changer? Like I said, those are just labels. A transformer can do whatever they want. Energon cloning by Star, again, that's not a sentence. Bruh, that tech spec IP. IP? What, the intelligence plus 10? only Megatron can understand Rick and Morty. Is Megatron literally using King Crimson? What's King Crimson? Have you seen this video? Transformers IDW comic IDW and then a bunch of Chinese words. AMV till R1. No, I haven't. Have you played Halo? I've played Halo Combat Evolved and Halo ODST. How and why is Cup old, but his look isn't young like as Optimus or any old characters? Because... Oh, I have seen this video. Yeah, I've seen this before. Cup is old just because he looks old. Appearances don't really matter when it comes to Transformer age. It's just a humanization element. But Transformers don't actually age like that. If Cup just born would still look fairly old. Cup in the Wings universe when he's young doesn't look that different from Cup when he's in the 80s. It's just an aesthetic, no reasoning behind it. Armada Starscream equals best girl. I have multiple questions. King Crimson is a band, but in this context it's an ability that allows the user to skip time and put themselves in a more advantageous position. Ah, so Megatron teleported behind Optimus Prime and said, "Nothing personal, kid," and killed him. He pulled a Luke Skywalker. Have you guys heard Transformers and Terminator are making a crossover together? I don't understand why the Transformers Terminator crossover is getting so much press. Everyone's like, did you hear about the Terminator crossover? Yes, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they've been doing miniseries crossovers with nostalgic properties for a while now, like for about a year. They did it with Ghostbusters, that 4-issue miniseries, and they did it with Star Trek. Nobody really cared about the Ghostbusters or Star Trek, but people are pumped about the Terminator one just because it has a cool cover, I guess. But I know the inside art's going to be lame. Because that's what the Star Trek and Ghostbusters one were like. I like when Transformers look robotic and alien. If Bayverse Prime asks for your face, are you going to give it to him? No. I like my face. I want it on my body. I want it attached to my head. Keep giving me questions and topics to discuss. I'm going to heat up some burgers. But every time I've done this before, I say, make sure to leave comments and leave questions. I come back and nobody said anything. I turned the lo-fi. Oh God, I'm dying inside. Oh, please let me die. Well, boom. Okay. Oh boy. Transformers Nemesis versus Star Wars Imperial Star Destroyer. Nemesis would win. Nemesis is bigger. It would be harder if it's just one-on-one. The Nemesis has an arsenal. It's because Terminator Dark Fate bombed so hard that the Terminator brand has been put into suspended animation. It's impressive we're getting anything Terminator after that. I see. I kind of hope we get a Transformers and Mad Max kind of story. There's definitely Mad Max influences in a lot of Transformers stuff out there. I'm thinking of some of the later Wings universe stuff. I kind of hope we get I just read that. What's your favorite Transformers origin story? I hate that there are different, pre-Shroud, there was one origin story, because that's all we needed. Post-Shroud, now they're going to have to give origin stories to every single universe, if they want to develop it. I like the real origin story. I'm not hyped for it, I'm more curious about how that crossover is going to work. How did the Combaticons work in IDW, because I was always confused about their origins. The Combaticons were sort of an elite, commando unit for the Decepticons. Swindle was technically part of them, but then Swindle went his own way for some time period. But they eventually all got back together. Yeah. I believe, was it Blastoff? Blastoff had a crush on Onslaught, and then Starscream used that crush to sort of trick the Combaticons into serving under him. Watch him not mute his mic and go piss. And then what did I say? Why is this in all caps? Isn't Shattered Glass Optimus Prime just technically just Nemesis Prime with a different color? I guess, although there isn't a... Nemesis Prime suggests the existence of an Optimus Prime that's normal, and there's no normal Optimus Prime in Shattered Glass. What would be interesting is a Shattered Glass Nemesis Prime. And I think there might be one. Hold up. That might have happened in Another Light. Nova Prime? No, Nova Prime's like the Galvatron version. I heard there's supposed to be a Transformers movie coming out in 2021. What did I say? Chair. How exactly does Headmasters and Tie-In Masters work in IDW, and what does binary bonding do to the minds of the human/Nebulan Transformers that are bonded together? Good question. I need that Shrek good question meme ready. Shrek good question.
Good question.
There we go. Good question. So, how does Headmasters? Headmasters, there's different, generations of Headmasters in IDW. There's the OG Headmasters, which were created by Nexus Prime using the Enigma of Combination. And they were just two Cybertronians that were paired together with the Enigma of Combination to combine with each other. And sometimes they were Headmasters. Sometimes they were called Headmasters, but it was their Beast Transformers that came out of their chests, but they were still called Headmasters. Those were the first generation of Headmasters. There was one particular battle on Spindrift during the first Cybertronian Civil War where the Headmasters kind of were killed off, and then Galvatron wiped out the rest on Cybertron. Titan Masters were smaller Transformers that could control Titans, and then they also could turn into heads and control larger Transtectors. For example, Sentinel Prime, whose real name was Infinitus, was a Titan, and the Titan Masters served the 13. They served the Primes because each Prime had their own Titan. So Titan Masters served them. They could teleport things. They could run Titans. I think Garrison Blackrock might be the last Titan Master left alive. His real name is, what is Blacklight? It's not Blacklight. What's Blackrock's real name? Is it just Blackrock? That's entirely possible. What's Garrison Blackrock's real name? I am going to shoot myself in the head. Blackrock. Sovereign, that's his real name. Sovereign was a Titan Master. But yeah, they're just servants of the 13. Now, Headmasters, the second generation of Headmasters, basically, Scorponok was going around experimenting with the idea of improving the Transformers' bodies by bonding them with a smaller human creature to basically increase the reaction time. He did experiments all over the galaxy and eventually ended up on Earth, started up a group called the Machination, and started making a new generation of Headmasters with humans. He paired with Abraham Dante. They would eventually kidnap Sunstreaker to experiment with the Headmaster process and made Hunter 09 his Headmaster. But as for the effect, what does it do to the minds? They basically sort of become the same person. However, Sunstreaker, who hates humans, was paired with a human and he wanted to be separated, and it was a very painful surgical process that left both of them kind of feeling incomplete after it, and kind of made Sunstreaker not be that mentally stable, to the point where he sold Autobot secrets to the didn't sell, but gave Autobot secrets to the Decepticons, and led his own team into an ambush that led to the Surge. So, that wasn't a good case scenario. We don't really see how Nebulans are affected that much in the IDW universe, but I assume it works a lot like the humans, where it's not a good effect. I still think, is Abraham Dante still like a dead body inside of Scorponok's head? Or did Lost Light say anything about Dante being kicked out? Even years after the merger had been severed, a trace of Dante's brain patterns remained in Scorponok's neural net. As a result of this, the Magnificence, capable of scanning the brainwaves of every Cybertronian and choosing whether or not to answer, was unable to ignore any question posed by Scorponok. So Dante was separated, but I think Dante's dead. Like, Dante's freaking dead. Do you prefer Primus, Vector Sigma, or Quintessons for an origin story? Well, they're all linked together. Like, those three... The Quintessons can be kicked out, but Vector Sigma is Primus. You know? It's all the same thing. And the Quintessons created the Transformers through the Vector Sigma, which is Primus. So, it's all the same story. How did Shockwave land a Regenesis ore on Carcer? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I don't freaking know. I don't remember the later IDW universe that well, just because I want to wipe it out of my mind. Shockwave launched one of his ores at Carcer with the missile carrying the seed of Ore 10. Alright. Core 10. Ore 10. Fueling deception by reprogramming the minds of Cybertronians. Looks like he fired a freaking missile at the ship 600,000 years ago. That should have been a big deal for people living on the ship, but whatever. Imagine you're just chilling on Carcer 600,000 years ago, and a missile just out of nowhere slams right into you. And you're just like, oh, okay, that's a thing that happened. That 2021 thing is a 4chan leak, which might not be true. I see. Transformers Prime Nemesis versus Star Wars Imperial Class Star Destroyer. Who would win? Nemesis. Has there been any Has there been any meaningful extended fiction for the Bay movies since Age of Extinction? No. And that's because IDW was pretty much the head of expanding the movie universe. And then, I believe it was leaks from Dark of the Moon. Like, a lot of Dark of the Moon was spoiled because IDW didn't do a good job handling it. So Paramount was like, you know what? We're not going to let you make comics anymore about this stuff. We're going to just do our movies, and you can just chill back there. And IDW was like, okay, we're the only people putting your universe together because you can't seem to do a well enough job of it, but okay. And then continuity just got weird. Do you know anything about the writing strike that went on during the production of Transformers 2? I know there was a writing strike during Transformers 2. I don't know the detail. I can't tell you who started it and what they were doing, but it happened, and then I believe Revenge of the Fallen suffered for it. Star Destroyers have bad designs. Ooh, wow, bad take. I love Star Destroyers. What exactly is Transformers Cloud? Good question. Let me...
Good question.
There we go. Transformers Cloud. Fiction-wise, it's a text story. A text saga. Written to promote the Transformers Cloud toy line in Japan. And it deals with the Cloud world, a world where the Autobots live in their, their paradise, while the Decepticons live in a crappy underworld. And then, I believe they go the Decepticons launch a rebellion. The Cloud world has a very similar function to the Transtex, where they observe the multiverse. They use Cloud world notation, in which, Transtech notation calls, for example, Primax 984.17 Alpha, which is the Transtech notation for the Generation 1 cartoon, or at least the American one. I guess I should give the Japanese one, which is like 785 point something Alpha. But Cloud World notation calls that the OG world, which can get annoying because the Transtech notation is a mouthful, but you can apply it to anything. Cloud World, you have to make a individual notation for each universe that's separate, which doesn't really work. But they are tied in with the Transtech people a little bit. And that storyline goes on a universe-jumping spree, I believe. I think some Unicron Trilogy stuff is more fleshed out, thanks to the Cloud World story. It was very interesting. I should do a video on that at some point. I want Lockdown to be a Mad Max muscle car if he appears in the reboot. Alright. Transformers versus Star Wars. That's not a question. I honestly want to see Transformers Shattered Glass as a movie or as an animated series. I would like to see Shattered Glass done, like, maybe in a story arc within a series. Because doing a whole series focused on that specifically will get kind of boring. And it doesn't really have a mass market appeal. But having it as a subset, like the characters go into a universe where there's evil versions of themselves, is that would work out. That was part of the plan for Transformers Animated, but the show ended before they could get to that story arc. You know, it'd be cool to get a new Transformers game based on G1 that is like War for Cybertron, I guess. The IDW Combaticons are robot gay. Don't at me, okay. Why isn't Knockout in anything? He's in IDW. Or was in IDW, I guess. I believe he was in Legends for a little bit. Is it possible that we will see old IDW Springer in any new continuity given the end of Requiem? I doubt it. Is it possible? I guess anything's possible, but I sincerely doubt it. What do you think of the idea of a Megatron origin movie? In a vacuum, I don't like the idea. If it's just a Megatron origin movie that's not attached to anything, I don't agree with a Megatron origin movie being used to spark off a new universe, because that's not how that works. You want to get these characters down and understand Transformers before you go into character development. But later on down the line, if this Bumblebee movie serves as the basis of a new Transformers movie universe, then maybe later on I'd like to see a Megatron origin movie, I guess. What would you like to see a crossover with Transformers? I like to see G.I. Joe integrated more better. Because G.I. Joe has been in the same universe as Transformers for a long time. They're in the same universe as the Marvel Comics, Transformers comics. G.I. Joe, the cartoon, shared a continuity. IDW 1, I felt, was the first time they really... IDW 1 and ironically Kiss Players, I feel, were the first time that they've really brought G.I. Joe correctly. And the rest of Japanese Generation 1 cartoon, like Convergence and the Alternity stuff, that really brings in G.I. Joe a little bit better. But IDW 1 especially really did a good job of integrating G.I. Joe properly. If that could become more of a norm and less of an exception, I'd like that more. Is there an elite guard type of thing for Decepticons? There's the Decepticon Justice Division. Cyclonus and the Scourge and the Sweep served as the Decepticon elite guard in the cartoon universe. It depends on what you define the elite guard as. A group of super powerful people, then there's the Justice Division, there's Squadron X. If it's people who guard the commanding officer, then Cyclonus and Scourge and the Sweeps were in the cartoons. Can a monoformer exist where they are stuck in their alt mode rather than their robot form? Yes. Transformers have a preferred form, meaning they can turn to multiple forms, but they have one they prefer or who they think is their real them. Most of the time it's the robot mode, but sometimes it's a vehicle mode. And if you're a monoformer, you can be in that mode and remove your transformation cog. Imperial class Star Destroyer had a bad design on a warship-based scale. But they look cool, though. Is it a reasonable theory that certain movies from the Babe series are individual universes, or is the only way to explain it writing inconsistencies and retcons? It depends on what you define as a retcon, but 1 through 5 are solidly in their own universe. They don't contradict each other. And then Bumblebee is in a second universe. It's in its own universe. Do you think Dark Energon is a metaphor for drugs? Could be if you want it to be. Would it be cool if there was a crossover between continuities, like on screen? Like on movies? Because it's happened in shows before. A little bit. They would need to build it up a little bit more. Frankly, my enthusiasm for anything post-Shroud is very low, because I know anything that happens from this point on will not be the Transformers I knew. It's not part of that whole meta-fiction. A Joker 2019 style Megatron movie would be great. A lowly miner revolting and creating a rebellion against an imperial ruling class. Yeah, but it has to be attached to something. I don't think it'll work from a mass market appeal standpoint on its own, or it wouldn't be able to see its full potential on its own, I don't think. G.I. Joe are kind of overpowered in most crossovers. Not really, no. Was Nightbeat a sleeper agent? Was which Nightbeat a sleeper agent for who? Do you like Transformers Decepticon Justice Division? No, I think they're overrated. The Warrior Elite, there is them, yeah. Is there an alternate universe of G1, not including the Japanese one? There's a lot of alternate universes of G1. In fact, the most common universal cluster, the largest universal cluster, is the Primax cluster. There's a lot of G1 universes. Oh. What exactly is the Universe War?
Good question.
The Universe War is the key to understanding Transformers. It's the key to understanding the metafiction. The Universe War is where everything starts to come together. If all the metafiction stuff before Universe War was like the individual Avengers movies, the Universe War is the Infinity War. Or the first Avengers movie, I guess. Basically, Unicron abducts Transformers across the multiverse to fight each other. Just sort of as a way to, it's been a while since I've read this, but just a sort of way to ramp up the war against Primus, ramp up the Theomachy. And he has a lot of his heralds in it. Most of it takes place right after Beast Machines. But it's just this big multiversal battle against Unicron. It includes people like Dreamwave Megatron a little bit. Not Dreamwave Megatron, Dreamwave Grimlock for a little bit. A lot of Unicron Trilogy people. Robots in Disguise people, G1, Beast Era people. And there's details for everyone who fought in the war, because they're brought in from across the multiverse. But the Universe War is a good place to pinpoint at what time period things are happening at the same time in the different series, because the Universe War ends with the Unicron singularity. Basically, they're fighting on Unicron until suddenly Unicron starts to disappear because he's turned into a black hole. As we know about multiversal singularities, we know multiversal singularities experience time differently and can be at different places at different times. We know the Unicron singularity was sort of a two, or depending on how you look at it, threefold thing, if you want to look at the Japanese and American Unicron Trilogy cartoon things as happening in two different places at the same time and not just two different interpretations of the same event. But Unicron's spark gets stuck in a sun and collapses. At the same time, in the Dreamwave Unicron Trilogy universe, Unicron's body is bombarded and destroyed, wiping out Unicron and resulting in the Unicron singularity, because you can't have Unicron dead and Primus still be alive. That causes an imbalance with everything. Massive multiversal destroying black hole. And that's when Unicron disappears with the Universe War, and Vector Prime, who's coming from Transformers Cybertron, meets up with a lot of the Universe War people. If you haven't read Transformers The Balancing Act, that's a very key piece to understanding Transformers metafiction continuity. But it all comes together. The whole point of me doing the first season of Transformers lore was to get to the more complicated stuff, like the Universe War, like the details of the Unicron Singularity Crisis, stuff like that. And Shattered Glass is kind of part of this, but people kept demanding Shattered Glass, so I just did Shattered Glass, just out of context. But then the Shroud happened, and I'm like, what really is the point? I might dive into those stuff in a proper video soon, since there's nothing holding me back now, you know. It's not like this series, it's not like the Transformers lore existed to promote the outcome, the stuff coming out right now, but I just don't care now. So I think I'm just going to jump right into the Universe War at some point and go into the details. I talked about the metafiction in like the first Transformer lore episodes to talk about how the multiverse was created, but I think it's time to wrap up the story, talk about the actual plot of the metafiction. Shout out. What's your thoughts on Hasbro making Galvatron and Megatron different characters? I think it's pretty cool. Was IDW Nightbeat a sleeper agent for anyone? I can't keep it with the comics. Actually, autocorrect, sorry, Nightbeat. Nightbeat was at some point kidnapped by Geaxis, and inside his head they planted a overriding control chip thing so that Nightbeat would kill Optimus Prime to prevent, so Optimus wouldn't stop the expansion from happening. Optimus Prime didn't take the bait, but Nightbeat did end up bringing Hardhead down to the dead universe, or on Gorlin Prime, the pool that would lead to the dead universe, and then Geoxys activated it, so Nightbeat was supposed to kill Hardhead, but Hardhead killed Nightbeat first. What's your favorite Transformers god and goddesses? Primus. My iPad is faster than my PC. Now I know. Have you seen Cyberverse? If so, what are your thoughts? This is the second time I've been asked that question in this stream. I've watched season 1. There's a video where I talk about my thoughts. How much of my videos do you guys watch, by the way? Because a lot of these questions have been answered before. The Cyberverse question in particular is a very recent video. Yeah. Not that screen. Transformer Cyberverse is a much needed breath of fresh air. Just what we needed. I have that video released, okay, about a year ago. Wow, it feels like it came out so much more recent. This is a year old? Jesus. We really do live in a society. How big is Cybertron? Smaller than Earth, usually. Which, you know, tells you how big Unicron is, because Unicron can stand on Cybertron. Yeah, let me show you some pictures. Ultimate Doom Cybertron Earth. Let's go to images. Bam. This picture right here. This one shows Cybertron's mass to Earth. And then this right here is Unicron standing on Cybertron. So Cybertron and Unicron aren't really that big. Now then there's IDW Unicron, but this is a cover picture. This isn't what actually happened. Unicron is still smaller in IDW. But yeah, Unicron can stand on Cybertron like that, and Cybertron is about that size compared to Earth. Is there any toy bio-universes that have any significance? Toy bio-universes are only significant when characters from those toy bios enter another universe. Now, some toy bios take place in a more significant universe and aren't just their own universe by themselves, and they can provide interesting information about that character in the wider universe. I think Sideways falls into that category. I used to binge your videos, but then 18 hit me and my life has become so much more hectic. I see. Where can I find stuff that makes up the universe war? Is it tech stories or some comics? It's a few things. First, you want to start with Primeval Dawn. There's a lot of stuff that leads up to the universe war. In fact, we can go ahead and let me open up Paint Tools. Paint Tool Sci. I'll give you the definitive order you want. This is going to seem complicated, but that's because this is what the entire Transformers lore series I was doing was supposed to be building up to. Let's do this. Bam. Universe War. This is Metafiction 101 with Dr. Radix. Any excuse I can get to use my tablet is an excuse I'll take. Oh god, why are you running so slow? Okay. Universe War. What is going on there? Jesus. War 101. This is the entire reason I got this tablet. So, Jesus, stop doing that. What is up, my little tablet? My little tab? Is your pressure sensitivity not right or something? Okay. So we want to get to Universe. Oh, why are you being that? Universe. So let me open up a new tab. You want to start with Primeval Dawn. And why can't I spell primeval right? Primeval Dawn. So Primeval Dawn is like the first step leading up to the Universe War. Here's the thing. Primeval Dawn is a sequel to Beast Wars. So you should absolutely see Beast Wars before you read Primeval Dawn. Oh, Jesus. Primeval Dawn. Primeval Dawn deals with basically the stuff about the Beast Wars left behind on Earth after everyone left the planet. After they left Earth. It deals with like Tarantulas, the Vok, Air-Razor, Tigatron, Tigerhawk being split into Air-Razor and Tigatron again. That stuff. Let me make sure OBS is out. Let me pull up chat. Okay. Whoa. I want to be able to read you while still being... I need way more monitors. So Primeval Dawn. There is a comic... and let me make sure I know what Primeval Dawn is. Primeval Dawn is a comic. That's what this is, right? First published story. Yes, and you can find Primeval Dawn Part 1 at... It's online for free. Use the Transformers Wiki pages. They have the source down at the bottom. Primeval Dawn Part 1. Part 2. Oh, did I open Part 1 twice? Wow. So it goes Primeval Dawn. This is actually going to be easier if I did text. Primeval Dawn Part... Oh, Jesus. Part 1, and Primeval Dawn Roman numeral 2, which is weird. But this is actually a Flash cartoon. Part 1's a comic, Part 2's a Flash cartoon. And then there's Primeval Dawn Part 2. I should do a text thing. By the way, I was looking at the timeline for Star Wars, and did you realize that the ending of The Last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker, if it took place at 2012, Phantom Menace would be in 1945. That's not really a big time thing, but so Primeval Dawn. You go with Primeval Dawn Part 1, which can be found online, comic free. Then Primeval Dawn 2, which is a Flash cartoon, online and free. Primeval Dawn Part 2, online, comic, free. And then there's another part, isn't there? And then Primeval Dawn Part 3. Primeval Dawn Part 3, online, comic, free. Wait, where... Oh. Is Primeval Dawn not available online free? I know Part 1 is. Let me check for Part 2. Oh, Part 2 isn't. You can find Part 2 online. Or, no, 2 online. And Part 1. I'm not sure where you can find Part 2 and Part 3. But this is a sequel to Beast Wars. And it's really heavy on you knowing what happened in Beast Wars. So the Beast Wars cartoon is a must-watch for this. From Primeval Dawn, we go into Wreckers? Do we go to Wreckers from Primeval Dawn? Primeval Dawn Part 2. Yes, we go into Transformers The Wreckers. So that goes into Transformers The Wreckers, which is a comic. 1, 2, 3, an unreleased 4, and then 2 text stories. Transformers The Wreckers #1. Can you find that anywhere? Ah, they don't give a... Oh, you can find this one online for free. Comic online and free at the BotCon archives. Then Transformers Wreckers #2. Is this online and free? Yes, this is on comic online free. Now, the Wreckers deals with the people from Primeval Dawn returning to the future. You know how Beast Wars has people from the future arrive in the ancient past? The people from Primeval Dawn return to the future in the events of Transformers The Wreckers, which deals with what Rodimus Prime is doing. During Beast Machines, Megatron takes over Cybertron. What is Rodimus Prime and the Autobots doing? Well, Beast Machines, Megatron's taken over Cybertron. And then Transformers Universe featuring the Wreckers #3. They changed the name of the comic halfway through. So, before you watch or read The Wreckers, Beast Machines is a much watch, as well as the events from the Generation 1 cartoon. Transformers G1 cartoon and Transformers the movie. These are must-watches. You get into some very obscure parts of the Transformers cartoon. Oh, my camera's covering up everything. I am so sorry. But Transformers the movie and the cartoon are important. Obscure characters that show up like in one episode in the 80s cartoon play big roles in The Wreckers. Let me see chat. Let me make sure you guys aren't yelling at me that like my mic died or anything. Radix, your face is covering the text. Yes. I see some of you guys' questions. I'll get to that after we break apart this guide to the metafiction. Now, Universe featuring the Wreckers #4 was never released, but it was canon. Ah, yes, it did become the text story. So from that, you go into the text stories, which are online for free. Is Universe featuring the Wreckers for free? No, not that I can see. But then we go to The Wreckers Finale Part 1, text story, online and free. And then we go to Wreckers Finale Part Roman numeral 2. They really aren't consistent with their titles. Text story, online and free, which wraps up the events of the Wreckers. Basically, it's a big battle between the characters and Cryotech. Cryotech. Do we know who Cryotech is? Basically, the Beast Wars is about Megatron going back in time with the Golden Disc to wipe out the Autobots. Theft of the Golden Disc. Online video free. Cryotech is the dude who taught Megatron about the Golden Disc and taught him about time travel. Cryotech's the big bad guy of the entire Beast era that the cartoons don't actually talk about. The Wreckers finale is the final defeat of Cryotech and brings peace to basically, while Optimus Prime and his Maximals are taking on Megatron, the Wreckers are taking on Cryotech, and it all wraps up with Cybertron being techno reformatted and Megatron and Cryotech being defeated and Beast Machines in the Wreckers, which leads into Universe. So Transformers Universe is a comic. Transformers Universe #1, Transformers Universe #2, Transformers Universe #3. And I don't think you can find these dudes online. Yeah, they're kind of harder to find. And then there's a script reading. The Transformers Universe OTFCC live action drama. It's a script reading. I think you can find it on YouTube. Discussion. Or you can find the script itself. At the very least, you can read the TF Wiki page on it, but it might be hard to find the original source for the script reading. And then you go into issue #2, and then you go to #3. And then it gets into another script reading, Transformers Universe Voice Actor Drama, script reading. Is there a source for this? Yes, you can find that on YouTube, and the script itself. Script and video are on YouTube. Let me check chat real quick. Okay. So that's Transformers Universe, which doesn't actually properly end. From Transformers Universe, it goes into... And by the way, Universe makes a lot of references to the lore introduced in the Transformers Marvel comic. Because multiversal singularities and that stuff were introduced in the 1980s Marvel comic. And the Universe is kind of the natural sequel to the events of that in Generation 2 and all that. So after Universe, Unicron collapses into a black hole, which means you should probably see the Unicron trilogy before you get to this point. Transformers Armada, Transformers Energon. Not just, or I guess a little bit of Transformers Cybertron. Cybertron will be important later on, but Universe and Cybertron all kind of head into Transformers The Balancing Act, which is very crucial. It's sort of the epilogue to Universe, while starting off the new era that Universe started. More attention to detail for the metafiction. But Transformers Cybertron is crucial to that, but also crucial to understanding The Balancing Act is the Dreamwave, Transformers Armada, Dreamwave, and Transformers Energon Dreamwave. Because Overrun and Starscream from the Unicron Trilogy Dreamwave comics play a big role in the Balancing Act. But the Balancing Act also has Scorponok from the Energon cartoon come back to life. So, and a lot happens. A lot happens in Balancing Act. Oh, Robots in Disguise happens. Robots in Disguise, Optimus Prime shows up at this point. He plays a big role in Balancing Act. There's a lot that goes into understanding Universe, but this is the basic stuff. And from Balancing Act will branch out into different events, including Shattered Glass, the Classics verse, and the Wings universe, to name a few. So a lot goes into understanding Universe, but this is the key parts. If you don't want to include, like, you should know what happens in Theft of the Golden Disc. If you don't know what happens with Theft in the Golden Disc, the Wreckers will be kind of weird for you. the G1 cartoon, the Beast Wars cartoons are important. The Marvel comics are important. The Unicron Trilogy comics and shows are important. Robots in Disguise 2001 is important. But the base of it is Primeval Dawn, which is mostly available for free. The Wreckers, which is mostly available for free. And then Universe, which might be harder to get your hands on. And then the Balancing Act, which ties it all together. That's the proper universe. This isn't necessarily an order. That's why I started off with Paint Tool Psi, because it was going to look more like a web than an order. But, yeah. Okay. Does Cybertron circle Alpha Centauri in every continuity? No. In fact, for the most part, it circles around the sun called Hadeen, and is part of the Hadeen system. Who is the most obscure Transformer character ever? Take your pick. Terrasolplix says Sunrunner. If Transformers ever made a crossover with Halo, do you think it will work or no? No. The thing is with a crossover, the only thing that makes it work is a good writer, and I have not been convinced that Transformers has good writers lately. Is it ever explained why G1 Omega Supreme was the only Guardian that was shown to have sentience in the G1 cartoon? That's not something that needs to be explained, it's just the only one that shows up. Halo says Last Gamer 64, Radix Your Face is covering the text. Since it's generally the case that the Japanese versions of continuities are noticeably different, is the same true of any other localizations? No. The only canon dubs are the English dubs of Japanese stuff and most Japanese dubs of English stuff, not all. There's some there are some Transformers cartoons that were dubbed into Japanese that aren't canon. The actual events that played out were the ones that happened in English. But the Japanese Generation 1 cartoon continuity and the Japanese Unicron Trilogy continuity really stand out as their own unique continuities that are canon. Any other dub isn't. Including the Omni Productions dub of the Japanese cartoon trilogies, that's not canon. Would a crossover between Transformers and Star Trek be good? No, because a crossover between Transformers and Star Trek already came out, and it's not good. It's a 4 or 5 issue miniseries. Where did the guiding hand actually come from? Conceptually, IDW. As in lore-wise, Primus. Robert Holmes, I think you could read Transformers Star Trek Prime Directive series. I know about that. Do you have any interesting theories on the Unicron trilogy? I did. And then, there is a video I have, that's unlisted right now. Hold up, we can actually show this. Where's OBS? I'll show you guys a video that was released a long time ago that I made unlisted, mostly because the comment section was just unbearable. So it just wasn't worth. I hate making theory videos because the comment sections are always cancer. Theory. Okay, Transformers fan theory. The corruption of the Unicron Trilogy universe.
Hey, what's up everybody?
This is old Primus Prime 22 era.
Prime 22 here bringing you a Transformers fan theory. So recently I've been rewatching the Unicron trilogy, the trilogy of 3 Transformers series, Transformers Armada, Transformers Energon, and Transformers Cybertron. And while watching these, I noticed something. As time goes on, the characters get progressively less intelligent, less compassionate, and overall just meaner. Of course, one could probably just write that off as just terrible dubbing, which is honestly probably more of the case. But I have a theory as to why these characters are harsher. I call it the corruption of the Unicron Trilogy universe theory, or the corruption of the RX 802.23 alpha theory, if you want to go by the trans tech notation. Let's set the stage. It's 10 million years ago on the planet Cybertron. The Decepticons have rebelled for control of the planet. The Autobots come under the leadership of the kind and caring Optimus Prime to resist the Cons, while the Cons are led by the power-hungry Megatron with the goal of military conquest of Cybertron and then the universe. This is standard stuff in Transformers. This is the Autobots waging their battles to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Fast forward to the year 2030, countless planets have been destroyed. I mean, that's not weird for a Transformers universe, but I mean totally destroyed and eaten by Terracons. Cybertron has physically moved into a whole nother planetary system, a system that physically didn't exist 10 years before. Megatron controls a whole pocket dimension of fire, with the Decepticon armies of the past dwindled down only to Starscream and Thundercracker. Cybertron lies completely lifeless as the entire population has evacuated. There's a black hole made from the death of the Transformers equivalent of Satan, and not only is it destroying everything around it, but it's also destroying time and space across the entire multiverse, conveniently giving an excuse for all the G1 animation errors. Also, one of the 13 original Transformers has arrived on the front line to assist in the crisis. Where did it all go wrong in this young universe that started off as plain as any other Transformers universe? Well, the key point in the theory of the corruption of the Unicron Trilogy universe is this. The extended exposure of Unicron caused the morality shift in the Transformers of that universe. We're going to break this down into 4 cases. 1. Wing Saber. 2. Starscream. 3. Megatron. And 4. Optimus Prime. Then I'm going to talk about what Unicron has to do with all of this. The key plot to the Unicron trilogy is, well, Unicron. Starting in Armada, he had made his way into the universe and after eating some planets, found Cybertron with the body of his rival Primus. He powered himself up by disguising himself as Cybertron's moon, and fed on the hostilities between the Autobots and Decepticons. He even created minicons to fuel the fires of war. In 2010, he finally made his move, and the Autobots and Decepticons had their first contact with the Chaos Bringer. During this, Optimus Prime and Megatron enter Unicron himself, and not only defeat Unicron from within, but also fight each other. Now, I know Megatron is going by his name Galvatron at this point, but he changed his name so often it doesn't really matter. He's Megatron. Now, it's important that they went deep inside of Unicron. We'll get to that later. In the year 2020, the Autobots and Decepticons are at war again over Unicron, and this featured much combat within Unicron. The Autobots and Decepticons here probably had the most exposure to Unicron than any other Transformers in the entire multiverse. It is here where we focus on Wing Saber. In 2020, Wing Dagger was stationed on Cybertron, guarding an underground prison that held Decepticon war criminal Shock Blast. He is polite, well-mannered, and just a good person, even for an Autobot. He gets put under the command of Optimus Prime when Shock Blast escapes under his watch, and he serves him loyally, up until he's critically wounded in battle. However, he was repaired as Wing Saber to assist the Autobots in an ongoing battle, inside Unicron. Wing Saber would fight within Unicron for 2 elongated battles, and when we see him again in 2030, he's turned into some sort of punk and very disrespectful to Optimus Prime, or at least much less respectful than in 2020. But let's look at another example. Starscream. In the Unicron Trilogy universe, Starscream was made an icon to be part of the Decepticon army. He served Megatron for as long as he's been alive. From 10 million years ago to 2010, Starscream worked to prove himself to Megatron and to earn his respect. This is much different from Starscream from like Generation 1 and other universes, but I digress. All Starscream wanted was some respect from Megatron, who was always criticizing him. For a time during the Earth campaign of 2010, Starscream defected to the Autobots under Optimus Prime. While there, he observed the leadership of Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime treated his men with respect back then. We'll talk about his changes later on. When Unicron was poised to take Cybertron, the Autobots and Decepticons desperately needed an alliance, something Megatron, going by Galvatron at this point, was against. Then, this happens.
I don't believe it! Starscream!
The game's over, Galvatron! There's only one path to survive Unicron, and that's to follow Optimus!
Why, you...
Stay out of this, Starscream. This is between Galvatron and me. Now just back away!
I don't mean any disrespect, Optimus, but I'm not going anywhere.
You understand you'll pay for this. No one defies my command and gets away with it!
Sorry, I don't work for you anymore. I've made up my mind to bring this to an end. And once all is said and done, Unicron will be destroyed and the universe will be at peace!
May I suggest that you have lost your mind? I'll destroy you.
Come and get a taste of my blade, Galvatron.
I'll give you one last chance to save your neck, Starscream.
My only chance is to see you unite with Optimus!
Time's up! You're starting to annoy me, Starscream.
It's the least I can do!
Starscream, where in the universe did you get all this power?
Right now, that doesn't matter, does it, Galvatron?
Tell me, why did you let me run you through like that, soldier?
I remember, a very long time ago, I swore an oath to you, Galvatron, and I could never break that oath.
You had this planned all along, didn't you?
I did, sir. But all of this could have been prevented if you only had given me some respect.
Save your breath, Starscream.
I tried to gain favor from you, but nothing was ever good enough. No matter how many battles I fought, you always found fault. Then I saw how Optimus treated his men, and I realized he was a leader of integrity. Unlike you.
You were too weak to ever gain my respect.
None of that matters now. You must listen! Do as Optimus says and join forces with the Autobots, or else every last one of us is doomed! Please, sir, do it for me.
No, Starscream, don't!
It's time to finish this once and for all! Activate proton cannon! You're all mine, Unicron!
Just to be clear, this stream has been copyrighted since the music I played at the very beginning. I don't care at this point. But this is definitely an old video.
Alexis, wait up!
I tried to gain favor from you, but nothing was ever good enough. No matter how many battles I fought, you always found fault. Then I saw how Optimus treated his men, and I realized he was a leader of integrity. Unlike you.
Now, Starscream's been on Unicron a little bit before this scene, so there has been some exposure there, but let's carry on. Starscream's spark would be absorbed by Unicron, where he would remain for 10 years, until he would be revived by Alpha Q, who mind-wiped him. Starscream ultimately ended up back under the command of Megatron, where he was reprogrammed and still mind-wiped, and for the duration of 2020, he pretty much spent the entire year within Unicron. When Megatron sacrificed himself by throwing himself into a sun to destroy Unicron, Starscream followed him to his doom. In 2030, the sun collapsed into a black hole, and Megatron and Starscream were brought back to life. However, Starscream had his memories all come back to him. And what does Starscream do? He's pretty much pissed at everything, whether it be Megatron's disrespect for him in 2010, or maybe even Megatron using him as a mind-wiped slave in 2020. Starscream then begins an agenda to overthrow Megatron, take the Decepticons, and conquer the universe. And he's not afraid to cross any line to do so, even working with the former agent of Unicron sideways, and even stole the power from his own god, Primus, and literally fought his own god. Starscream devolved from a high-ranking officer in the Decepticons seeking approval from Megatron to a demigod in his own right, banished into an alternate dimension, but not before committing heresy against his creator. Our next case is Megatron, and I will quote Optimus Prime here. There was a time when Megatron actually seemed to care about the Decepticons under his command, but now all he cares about is power. This quote is definitely true, and it was this quote that really made me think about some of the character changes throughout the series as something with an in-universe explanation, rather than just bad dubbing and uncoordinated studios. Megatron did care about his men at a time.
Tell me, where are my men? They're mine, and I'm going to consume them! No, you're not. You'll have to get through me first, so you better tell me where they're hiding!
In Armada, there was even a scene where he got injured trying to protect Demolisher. He seemed to enjoy being with his men, chasing them down with the Star Saber. I know that sounds messed up, but seeing how understaffed Megatron was at the time, I doubt he'd ever kill any of them. Megatron is quite literally playing with his soldiers, albeit in his own Megatron way. Another scene that supports that Megatron once cared was when Starscream died. He was remorseful. The Megatron of 2030 would have just carried on, thinking Starscream was just a fool. Megatron then fought deep inside Unicron, and then died, though his life force remained within Unicron for 10 years before being revived in 2020. In the past, Megatron wanted a standard military conquest of the universe. After being revived, his goals remain the same, only this time he focuses on reviving Unicron, the ultimate evil. The same evil that he actually sacrificed himself to destroy 10 years before. He spent most of the series within Unicron, and at times the exposure is so great that Unicron straight up possesses him, and lies dormant, and sometimes not so dormant, throughout the rest of the year. It's not until the end of Energon that Megatron finally takes back over his mind and sacrifices himself once more to eliminate Unicron.
Oh, and Unicron, just for your information, even though you're within me, you will never possess me. For I am the mighty Galvatron! Galvatron! Please don't get in my way, Starscream. Because this is my destiny.
As you wish, Galvatron.
Behold! My new world awaits me! Galvatron! Glory to Decepticon! No!
Whoa, check it out!
Ten years later, in 2030, Megatron is revived by the sun collapsing, and Megatron literally infuses the armor of Unicron onto his body. What has all this exposure caused Megatron to do? Now, he doesn't want to conquer the universe, he wants to rip reality apart and destroy the universe, then recreate it in
Did
his
anything
image.
happen?
This is a drastic change, and along the way, he's not afraid to kill his soul.
Temporarily blocked because we detected copyrighted audio and video. How long is temporarily? Oh, your stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. Okay, sure. We lost half the views, but okay. Okay. The only reason I really did YouTube, the YouTube streaming, was because the audience is already there, but also there's a little bit more leeway with copyrighted stuff than on Twitch. But, you know, if that's going to be a thing that happens, might as well just move completely to Twitch. So, videos will be on YouTube, streams will be on Twitch from this point on. So, go ahead, follow me on Twitch, and we'll try to do it a bit more regularly. Maybe once a week, once every other week. We'll see, but we'll be doing Twitch a bit more often. So, Twitch is where we're gonna be heading in the future. This will be the last stream on YouTube. But the whole point of that video was my theory that because Unicron's presence corrupts people, and that's been shown in several forms of media, that the reason so many of the characters became a lot more jerkish or even evil in the Unicron trilogy is because of their exposure to Unicron, since they spent a lot of time fighting on Unicron. But follow me on Twitch. That's going to be our new stream hub. The only rule is don't get me banned. Alright. Oh, I need to update this list. Oh, my Patreon is on here? I don't remember updating that. Consider supporting me on Patreon while you're at it, so I don't get attacked by copyright and lose everything. Oh, that's my early access videos. That's for people who are in the early access tier. Alright. I do not have a Twitch. Then make a Twitch. It's not like you pay money to make a Twitch. Twitch, and I think you can get an audience easier on Twitch. Twitch is definitely where I'm going to be going. I haven't streamed in a long while. Twisted knows a lot more about Twitch, so maybe he can help me out with that. But yeah. Thank God we've been back. If you didn't hear, we'll be streaming on Twitch in the future. This is the last stream on YouTube. Because copyright was the only reason I was doing YouTube over Twitch. But if YouTube's going to be just like Twitch, I'm just going to go to Twitch. Why bother? I'm going to try to do it regularly. What's a good schedule, you guys think, for Twitch? Because I want to sort of appeal to the Eastern Standard Time boys, but I'm in Japan time, so how am I going to do that? Is it going to be once every... How often are people supposed to stream, I wonder? How often do you stream? How often should I/we stream? We are just starting out at the moment. Looks like, at least for our horror series, we're only going to be able to stream once a week. My plan is to upload it to YouTube while making highlights. Ideally, we would like to build a following, but we are trying to approach this with the mindset of having fun first and foremost. Is that the wrong approach? No. If you're streaming to have fun, play a game, and put some content in front of anyone that wanders in, that's great. If you're because you want an audience that would like to have it while you're gaming, that's fine too. There isn't a wrong approach as long as you're making enjoyable content. There's nothing wrong with hosting different types of content on the same channel either. Putting together a weekly horror show sounds fine, though you're right to note that one stream a week is a bit slim on the content side. See, that's what I'm worried about, especially if you aren't bringing in a regular audience already. I'll mention I've had decent success in the past running a regular two-man show while still producing side content solo on the same channel. Don't expect full crossover between the audiences, but doing both certainly provides opportunities the content streams to grow together. 1 to 2 times a week. If you want more followers on Twitch, then throw your cat or give it vodka. Right. 1 to 2... The best time to reach the Eastern Standard Coast is at night. Eastern Standard Time night is my morning. I have to go to work in the morning. Meaning that Sundays and Saturdays, my time, which is like Fridays and Saturdays American time, might be the only time I can stream. Which I don't know if that's good. Didn't realize there was a stream. Cool. We're about to wrap it up here. This is also the last stream on YouTube. We're going to be streaming on Twitch regularly in the future. So link to that is in the description. Stream is as often as you want to. Consistently is the key. See, I don't fully understand how Twitch works. I can't wrap my mind around it. 2 hours each day. 2 hours each day, 7 days a week is better than a 14-hour stream. What about 2 hours, 2 days a week? that might not be good. Come in streaming a bit more often than once a week. Maybe 2 or possibly even 3. What time is it? 12? What time is it in EST time now? Oh, it's... Oh, really? Okay. See, I have work at 10:30s on Monday. And I need to leave it around 10ish. Give me an hour to... Whew. If I wake up really early on Mondays, I might be able to do 3 days a week. But again, it will still be, from the American perspective, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Bye, Radix. Bye. Waiting for Radix students to find his YouTube where he rants about Transformers lore. Good luck when they don't speak English. Unironically, part of the reason why I moved to Japan. Oh, you're back. I've been back for a while now. JST. What if I did from 7 to 8? Or 7 to 9? What if I had 2 hours on Monday mornings? Which would be Sunday evenings in America. 7 o'clock a.m. is what? EST. 5... Really? Okay. 7... I might be able to stream 5 to 7-ish on American Saturdays? Or American Sundays? Goodbye. I love how people just abruptly say goodbye out of nowhere. Yeah. Always be casting by Man vs. And at the same time, I need to do daily uploads. After tomorrow's video, there will be no backlog left. I need to make a video today. Is today really Sunday? Today is Sunday. Oh, God. I wish I could be doing content creation as a full-time job and not have to deal with an actual job. It would be so much fun. And I think I'm the type of person that can do the work effort to do that just fine. But I just need the time. Ay caramba. Alright, we're going to wrap up the stream here. Thank you guys for coming out. Support me on Patreon. Check out the social media links in the description. Follow me on Twitch because that's where all streams will be from this point forward. If you don't have a Twitch, make a Twitch. It's not that hard. Alright. Make a video right now utilizing our input. Well, I could do that. I have a video. The video I have planned to come out after tomorrow's video is a video comparing Transformer fans to Star Wars fans, and how Star Wars fans tend to care more about deep lore stuff, while Transformer fans don't. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I don't have anything particular I want to talk about, but just a discussion on Transformer fans versus Star Wars fans. And I did think maybe I could record this during the stream. That could be a thing. Make a video as in stream question answering. As in what? Are we ever going to get a proper conclusion to the movie franchise? I doubt it. I think that's done. They're focusing on the new thing right now. This same question came up in this same stream, by the way. Love your videos. I've been watching since a bit before the Transformers content break, and the videos have just gotten better and better. I've been watching since a bit before the Transformers content break. I've been watching since a bit... So, like, before I did my ban on Transformers stuff, like, 2 years ago? Is that what you mean? And then it came back later on this year? In which case, you've been following me. If you watched a little bit before the Transformers content break, that would be like 2 years, man. That's crazy. That's insane. Thank you very much. Yes. Wow, that is like 2 years. When did Break come out? That's comments. Why am I searching my comments? Videos. Broken, that's what it was called. Broken. That was my last main Transformers lore video. October 24th, 2017. 18. You've been following for over 2 years. Thank you. People come and go. Like, my major participants in chat and comments come and go, like, every year or so. Except Terrasolpix. Terrasolpix has been here, like, since the beginning. Terrasolpix is insane. I don't know how he's still here. Similar to what the stream was like earlier, but with you using the answers as an FAQ for Transformers lore newbies. That sounds like a good idea, Star Wars fans and Transformers fans. I've probably seen 3/4 of what YouTube has on Transformers-related content. Nice. The thing is, I've already been working on a video that's like that, Terrasolpix. If anyone remembers Transformers More Lore, I've been working on... Oh, let me check. Thumbnails. Okay. I've been doing a new episode of Transformers More Lore. And if anyone doesn't remember what Transformers More Lore is, More Lore was my question and answer series where I took questions from the comments and answered them. So I fear that if I do a video like what Terrasolpix is talking about, it'll be way too similar to a video that's already going to come out soon. So I'm hesitant to do that. Over 2 year, gang. I thought Terrasolpix was here for like 3 years. How long has Terrasolpix been here? Like, he's been here for a long time. It's insane. I don't remember how long I've been here. I started watching before I actually had a YouTube account. Oh, wow. Transformers lore is quite complicated, in my opinion, Tailgate 1984 says. You guys want to get a sneak peek at the next Commander's Cabin podcast episode? I recorded the first segment. It's only like 10 minutes. It's the angriest I've ever been. I recorded it this morning after looking at my comment section. For those of you who don't know, Commander's Cabin is my podcast I do. Typically with chill background music and a looping anime gif while I'm talking about a subject. And part 1 of the newest episode is just me full blast, full steam ahead, very angry at my comment section. Let's get the lo-fi up. Let's get a looping anime gif, so we can emulate the feel as if this is edited. There are some pauses I take because it's not edited, but it will be edited when it comes out. Do you have any FAQ type video planned? Not in the vein of more lore, but more general questions asked by people new to lore. Ah, for people specifically new to lore. Not really, but that's a good idea. Although I think I've already done that. Yeah, my introduction to Transformers lore video, I think, does that. Not... It could be done better. I'm trying to get a looping anime GIF background for this. Okay. Let's emulate the feel of the Commander's Cabin podcast. I made a terrible decision. I have just woken up, literally just woke up. I am still preparing the shower for my morning shower, and I just felt that I have the energy right now to do a little bit of Commander's Cabin, which I know Commander's Cabin is supposed to be a chill podcast, you obviously hear the background music being all chill, and it's an aesthetic anime looping GIF or GIF from whichever country you're from, and it's clear that it's not supposed to be me just bouncing off the walls in rage. But you know what? It's kind of turned into that. It's kind of turned to this ludonarrative dissonance. I don't even know if I use ludonarrative dissonance right. I just know that ludonarrative dissonance means specifically in the context of gaming when gameplay does not match the themes. Like, for example, if the theme of the story is that killing innocent people is bad, you don't want to have gameplay where you get points by killing small children. But that's sort of what I'm thinking with this podcast. Obviously, the theme is supposed to be chill, but then here I am not being chill. But what pissed me off so much? Well, I made a terrible mistake. I made the terrible mistake of waking up, getting on my phone, and checking my YouTube comments. Why do I do that? Why do I do that to myself? Especially lately, the YouTube comments have become cancer. I don't know what's going on, but lately it's just been cancer. Now, there have been a few people who have popped up, especially since I started doing daily uploads. There have been some cool people who have been commenting regularly on not just the Transformers stuff, but there's also been cancer. I don't understand why it's ramping up recently. Maybe it's because I'm uploading daily and more people are seeing my videos. But so when I make a video, there's a lot of things you can say in a video. Literally, you can say anything in a video. And when you make a lot of videos that I make, where you're typically making a point or informing someone of something, then you've got to synthesize the information down into the most digestible bite. So I'm here talking about something, and in my head I'm like, should I say this? Should I say this random thing? And then in a split second I'm like, no, because it's like, here's an example that comes to mind. I was recently making a ranking all the Star Wars movies video, and I was ranking all the Star Wars movies. Now, in my head, I'm like, should I mention that The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker isn't out yet, and I haven't seen it yet, so I can't rank that movie, because I can't break the laws of time. And so I'm thinking about it, and in a split second, I'm like Doctor Strange going through 1,000 realities at once, trying to figure out which ones we win. And I'm like, only one, but I'm gonna take that. But I'm sitting there, I make a snap decision. Should I mention that I can't do Rise of Skywalker? Or is that redundant, stupid, and belittling? Because people can look at the upload date, people can understand how quickly this video was uploaded and how it took time to make that video, and it can't just break the laws of time. And any people watching in the future who wonders why Rise of Skywalker isn't on the list can look at the upload date. So I'm like, alright, I will not mention the Rise of Skywalker. I do that, bam, get a comment almost immediately saying, where's Rise of Skywalker? And I'm like, you idiot, you absolute buffoon. But that's, my first instinct is to rage at that person, but then I draw it back, be a little bit more calm, be a little bit more of a calm Radix, a calmander Radix. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was my failure for not mentioning Rise of Skywalker. Okay, maybe that's it. Whew. In 2017, I think, I released a video called The Transformers Movie Timeline, which was in preparation for The Last Night, not the newest movie Bumblebee, but the timeline of the Transformer films up until The Last Night. So, I don't even think Last Night's included in that video. But recently I got a person commenting on it saying, I think you forgot Bumblebee. And then in parentheses 2018, as if to differentiate it from all the other Bumblebee movies he could be talking about in the context of a Transformers movie timeline. First of all, what? Why are you saying... There is so much to say here. Why are you saying I forgot Bumblebee when obviously Last Night isn't on the list? What are you talking about? Like, why did you go straight for Bumblebee? Did it not scream to you that Last Night was out? Well, how about the... Second of all, I think I've mentioned before how I hate people who comment, you forgot, yada yada yada. No, obviously I didn't forget. I don't forget. I am superhuman. Shut up, boat. I include in videos what I want to include. Typically, it's because it makes sense to include them. So, did I forget to include Bumblebee? First of all, the video came out in like 2017. So what do you mean I forgot Bumblebee? Do you think I'm a time traveler? You think I got the time stone perfectly balanced as all things should be? You fool. Okay. Second of all, what do you mean I don't know if we're on second of all. We're on number X of all. What do you mean I forgot Bumblebee when it's not canon to the movie timeline? Are you watching the same video? Are you watching the video about the Michael Bay movie timeline? Have you watched Bumblebee? Do you understand that it's a reboot? Does anything happen in your brain besides lo-fi music? What goes on in your brain? Do you think? Are you even capable of thinking? Sometimes when I look at my comments, I really wonder, are there really that many people who can't think? So you forgot Bumblebee 2018 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's just so much wrong with this, especially if you look on my channel, if you look at I made two videos recently. I thought it was super repetitious that I said Bumblebee is a reboot. It's not part of the Michael Bay canon. I made 2 videos on it recently, but here he is on a 2017 video, not bothering to do any sort of research, putting the blame of Bumblebee not being at the video on me and not on time and continuity. And the last night's not even in the timeline. What are you talking about, you idiot? I really don't understand how people can't get that Bumblebee is a reboot. I don't understand how people just don't understand the movie timeline. The Transformers Wiki, which is most of the time good at things, good at casual information, the Transformers Wiki movie timeline page is a mess. They include Bumblebee in it, and then there's a debate saying we should split it after Age of Extinction or after Dark of the Moon. No, the movie timeline works fine up until last night, including last night, and all the IDW stuff. You are doing it right, and then you just take Bumblebee by itself and just take that out of that timeline. It's a different timeline. The debate going on behind the scenes on that page is idiotic, and I expected better from Transformers Wiki admins. I don't understand what's going on there. But this dude doesn't look at any of the videos, doesn't do any research, doesn't do anything I would do. Because I don't want to look like an idiot. And granted, sometimes I do, but I don't go out there specifically trying to be an idiot. And sometimes I wonder, like, was he just trying to get a reaction out of me from being so stupid? That's what I want to know. But after everything I've talked about, there's so much wrong with this comment, as you see. I've been ranting for like 5 minutes on this comment in particular. I don't have enough time to respond to his comment like that. And I'm just tired. I'm like, I'm going to put as much effort into my response as this dude put an effort into trying to figure out his own question. So I just comment, no. Did you forget Bumblebee? Oh, I think you forgot Bumblebee. No. I checked my comment section this morning. He replies, yes. Block him immediately. Get out of here. You're literally retarded. I do not want you here. You will never be able to add anything of value to any discussion on any of my videos. Get out. So, just blocked him immediately. Yes. What do you mean, yes? Ooh, my head is hurting. So now I'm like, okay, a lot of these comments are coming from things because I don't mention stuff in videos, mention stuff that should be obvious, stuff that's super repetitive. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take the time and actually like provide examples or say things that I think are repetitive and stupid to include. But I know there's gonna be one person who comments and who's gonna say something that I'm like, are you that stupid? The type of person I think they're so stupid they don't exist, so I won't say this stuff in my video, and then they pop in the comments, they exist. So I'll try to do something. It's okay to like Boba Fett. My video talking about how it's okay to like Boba Fett. That's the core central thesis, and you shouldn't attack people for liking what they like. In that video, I include tweets. Of people attacking Boba Fett fans, because it's such a phenomenon that it's hard for me to believe that people will be like, who's attacking people for liking Boba Fett? But I'm thinking, I go through my Doctor Strange, I went through a million realities, how many did we win? Just one, and I decided to put a little bit more effort to make this be the reality I win, so I go through Twitter and take screenshots of everything I can find, and then just make sure they're just rolling at the bottom of the screen for the duration of that video. That way, literally nobody can comment, literally nobody is attacking Boba Fett fans, idiot. So I go through that specific effort to edit that into the video, collect the tweets, screenshot them, save them to my hard drive, stick them on Vegas, put them on the timeline, make sure they fade out and fade in. Did they fade out or fade in, or were they just there? I can't remember. But sure enough, when I check my comment section today, the first comment I see, literally nobody is attacking Boba Fett fans, blocked immediately. I can't believe you're so stupid. I can't believe your brain can't look at a screen and think critically about the information that's there. You can't look at something and say, oh, that is something that it is. It is like 8 o'clock in the morning right now. Welcome to the Commander's Cabin podcast. That was the first thing I did this morning. That's literally me. If any of you wonder, what is Commander Radix like the moment he wakes up? I did that the moment I woke up. I woke up, went to prepare my shower, because in Japan you have to heat the water first and then take the shower. You can't just go and take the shower. And then while I was waiting, I checked my phone and then saw the comments, did what I did, and then immediately decide to record a little bit of the podcast before the shower. That's me, like, literally the first words that come out of my mouth. The rage, the anger. Radix, you're overreacting. That's the joke. Did you hear the part where I said, I don't forget anything, I am superhuman? Did you listen to that part? Where I just casually drop, no, I didn't. I never forget anything. I am superhuman. Followed up by, shut up, boat. Overreacting is the joke. It's part of the Radix sphere. Let's see. Transformers lore is quite complicated. Hi, do you have any FAQ type? Angry, I Love Mando 8 episode. I've only watched up to episode 5-ish. The intro video is old, but I'm talking more about dispelling a misconception things. I do have a misconception video in the idea stage. It's something I want to make. One question, do you prefer Transformers more mech or more bio? Why can't we have both? It's Saturday in Jamaican time. It's Saturday for me in America. It's Sunday for me in Japan. It's a shame they ended the Transformers movie franchise at a cliffhanger, as they have no intent on a proper conclusion. People need to be told not to use projects they're allergic to. Transformers is the only franchise I've never lost total interest in. I certainly have. Shut up, boat. Radix, you're overreacting. And I said that's the joke. This is a powerful podcast. I like to think so. When are we expecting any new movies to be part of the new Transformers canon? I don't know. I remember I saw a video about Minecraft Redstone, and the guy mentions that Redstone changes via updates because people watch older Redstone videos and leave angry comments. People don't always check release dates, so I've just discovered Radix is the ultimate TF lore god, I guess. Imagine being a minority. Imagine. But that will be edited more properly into the Commander Radix 4. If you haven't watched or listened to the Commander Radix Commander's Cabin podcast, give it a look-see. Some episodes are better than others. There's one episode that I just have difficulty re-listening to, and I think it was just talking about content and stuff like that. It's better when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, and I certainly was passionate about that little meme. How many of you have been listening to the Lazy Koalas podcast? We had the most recent episode about Pokemon Sword and Shield with me and the Koala Boys. The Lazy Koalas, I intend to make a larger part of this channel. Nobody's going to the Lazy Koalas channel, so let's just bring them to the Commander Radix channel. Radix, imagine being a minority. Okay, oh, so you want to stream and not play with your friends, I see. Weren't you playing, like, War Thunder or something? I cannot get into those tank games. Radix kind of cute, though. I've always been cute. Oh, Twisted missed the Fire and Fury podcast preview. The preview of me just going off the rails, dropping the word retarded every 5 seconds. Saying that I am superhuman and that I don't forget anything. That's my favorite line from that rant. What did I say? Like, do you forget something? No, obviously I didn't forget something. I don't forget things. I am superhuman. And then, shut up, boat. Just the boat interrupting me in the middle of everything. One other question. What is Beast Wars Uprising? How do I consume it? Beast Wars Uprising is a continuity where basically the Hunger Games gets imported to Cybertron. There is a comic that starts it off. There are 2 comics, actually, and then the rest is text stories. The Radical Koalas. Terraria. I don't have Terraria. Is it like on sale or anything? I never played Terraria in my life. And I've also been planning on doing a stream all week, so I was going to stream anyway. I want to do a Transformers-focused stream since I haven't done one of those in a long time. You make yourself sound like a god in that line. That's what I was going for. I was going for something like that. Radix physically can't die because he's too in denial about his mortality. Exactly, that's very true. I will not die, and that's just a rule. A rule of the fates. Dun 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 dun. How have we been streaming for almost 3 hours? That's ridiculous. See, I have this issue of, like, the Commander Radix persona is obviously, like, an arrogant person, like someone who's, like, full of themselves. Think of, like, my favorite YouTubers are obviously, like, General Sam and stuff like that. People who are just generally callous, self-centered, and not afraid to just piss people off. That's the sort of thing that Commander Radix is supposed to be, but at the same time, I do a lot of mass appeal Transformers lore stuff where I'm not really like that. And that results in a huge chunk of my audience not understanding that, and once they go to outside of my Transformers videos, they're like, wow, Radix, you're really a bad person. You just realized this now? You're like FDR, he got shot and kept giving his speech. Ooh, the last person I ever want to be compared to is FDR. Time flies when you're berating your comments section. The Transformers lore god is untouchable, unkillable. Alright. And, like, there's lines in, like, my ranking every Star Wars movie, and, like, where I'm doing ranking videos where I'm like, some of you might disagree, but unfortunately my list is of the objective truth, which obviously that's a joke. I deliver it very dry, like, obviously what I say is the absolute truth. Because, like, most videos will say, like, now, this is just my personal opinion, yada, yada, and to me, I think that's obvious. So I'm like, why say that? So I decided to make a joke out of it, like, saying, obviously my opinion is objective fact. Therefore, it sounds so stupid, because who would think their opinion is objective fact? But then I get comments saying, like, wow, this dude's so arrogant, he thinks his opinion's objective fact, and I'm like, die. Commander Radix toy review. The only toy I have is the Bumblebee that Lay's got me for at LazyCon. LazyCon! I have one more video for LazyCon that I need to get out. So this is Bumblebee from Masterpiece. Basically what you want to do is you want to click his legs together, flip his hood up so he looks like me at a party, flip his crotch down so he looks like me at a party. Connect the feet here, swivel around the arms, and make him hide away his shame so that even God can't see his thoughts. And that's how you transform Rumble Blood. That's how you transform Paul Rudd. Imagine yourself as a comic book writer. I already write the KOALAS mythos, which was designed as a comic series initially, so of course it's not official. I can't put it on a resume, but check out the KOALAS mythos, link in the description. What KOALAS mythos, if those of you who've read chapter 17 might ask. Because KOALAS mythos is in a very interesting situation as of the end of chapter 17, but I don't want to spoil that. Oh, I like this music. I can never get these doors unplugged. Okay, come on now. Alright, is that all? That all? That all, home slices? What character do you think IDW underused? I have more of a problem with them overusing characters than underusing characters. Cuckoo Universe or bust. Having Unicron slowly separate into multiple versions reminds me of what happened to Darkseid. Both intended to be the same guy in every universe, but that means they constantly die. Alright. Have they made it so Darkseid isn't a multiversal singularity now? I thought he was still a multiversal singularity. A poorly kept up universal singularity. You look like a drunk man bending over backwards and trying to cover himself with black and yellow car at parties. That's how I look, yeah. I've been described as that consistently and exactly. Unsure, I gotcha. Become a Ben 10 lore channel. That's the last thing I want to do. Have I made a video talking about when Ben 10 crossed over with Transformers? I don't know. Alright, so I guess we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for coming. Okay. I think it's a multiverse in DC now. One of the TV and movies and the other cartoon and comics, but that's probably just a theory. Game theory! Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I need to make videos, although I'm pretty tired after this stream, so maybe we'll lose our 1 video per day streak so far. But thank you guys for coming out. Subscribe if you have not yet, though I think you are all. Yeah, I think you all are. Support me on Patreon. Link is in the description if you want to see this channel continuing. Follow me on Twitch because that is where all streams will be from this point on. And, yeah. Have a great day. Jews.